I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to zero. I just wanna be a superhero. With fearless thoughts, emotions swirled, I wanna be the man that saves the world.
A few weeks on, we still can't believe what happened at Phillip Island and what was arguably the greatest race in the history of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. But forget about the past. Let's move on to the present. Let's look at one of the best road courses in the world. This is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This is qualifying for the third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. This track has had so many amazing memories over the years. From Jean Alesi in 1995, winning on that final lap and basically saving what had been an annus horribilis for Ferrari, to that fantastic race in 2011 and all the heart-stopping moments since. In terms of the World Championship Grand Prix Series, of course, Kazuki Yamashima, we'll talk about it. Let's move on for the moment because qualifying is here, it is live, and we are here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. The track temp is 22 degrees. There is clear skies and wind speeds of about 16 kilometers an hour. It's Will Vinson along with Jake Sperry, Jonathan Simon, and Connery Maddock on social media, and I love this racetrack so much. Qualifying is underway as we speak. We have some drivers out on track. And Jake, qualifying here is important, not because you can't overtake, because you don't want to be in the mid-pack heading into that very tight turn 1, 2, 3 complex.
If the Road Pro Series was anything to go by, Will, then you saw just how difficult this track could be on the opening laps, because we saw very established drivers, the likes of Michael Dinkel and Ricardo Orozco, getting caught up in incidents on their runs towards what was going to be a late addition to the World Championship Grand Prix Series. But this is the circuit that definitely has the ability to go out there and do something, so you need to be right at the top of your game. As you say that, 66, Gregor Hutu, 5-time world champion, starts a lap. Matt Backham, though, up into second position in qualifying. Very good run from him then in a number 16 machine. And could this be his track?
It could well be. Matt Backham has had some ups and downs in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series as Mitchell de Jong, winner last time out. Well, he is currently in P number 4, but we're on board with Gregor Hutu, which will go on board then from his top cam, shall we say, Johnny. And well, Hutu needs to win a race right now because he's not won in such a long time. And well, the streak was broken finally last time out at Phillip Island, but not by Hutu, but by Cronke's teammate, Mitchell de Jong.
Let me tell you, as he approaches the bumpy hairpin here, he has been within touching distance of a win at Phillip Island as well as the first round at Interlagos. So his time could come. Montreal, it's a circuit he's won out previously. We know he hunted down Kazuki Umeshima here in 2014. He's won here quite a bit as well in the past. Here he goes, bounces over the final chicane. You just have to be careful through that section of the racetrack. Flicks on DRS to end the lap. He should be a one-lap run for Hutu, and it is. Puts himself into P5 at the moment. So that lap wasn't perfect, Will, and I think he did lose possibly a tenth or so in that final chicane.
Yeah, and he bumped over those curbs. We're going to talk about those curbs both in terms of qualifying and then also the race a little bit later on today. Yao Vaz is on a lap right now down this very long back straightaway, the Olympic rowing basin. I start feeling like Jonathan Ledyard at this point. Is on your left-hand side as he come down into that final chicane, wall of champion chicane, because of 1999, Johnny, and the number of world champions that hit that final, basically that final wall as Yao Vaz goes onto a flying lap right now. It became famous for that. Not many people have hit it since, but we have had it in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And I also remember Rail Fowler actually hit it once in the iRacing All-Star race.
I know. Good old Ray Alfella, NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion multiple times. And so I want to rename that corner the Corner of Champions, or at least the Chicane of Champions, because not because of the crashes, but in testing, it is so hard to get that chicane perfectly. And in the 2 weeks of practice these drivers had, if you're on my talent level, which is not good, and you're racing in this World Championship, you maybe get that chicane right once a week, and you might actually gain 3/10 going through that. It makes such a huge difference going through that chicane. The thing is, you'd hope that lap would come in this session alone.
But then what happened, Jake, is that you get the delta time up and say, fantastic, I've nailed it. And then you spend the rest of your testing time, the rest of your qualifying time, trying to do the same thing again. And it doesn't often happen as Yao Vaz then exits the final corner, heads himself towards the start-finish line. Qualifying time for him will be 1:13.619. That is only going to be good enough for 16th place.
1:13.638, in fact, I see on my timing screen. So he's split himself between David Williams and Moritz Lohner. So Not bad at all right now. Mitchell de Jong is on his final lap, though, as things stand. He needs to find 2 and a bit tenths of a second. It is currently a Coanda front row lockout, but not the one we were expecting. Josh Rogers, what a great qualifying from him. He's currently up in 3rd for the Burst Esport machine. On the brakes, right-hander, hairpin, runs it a little bit deep, looking to find the traction. I'm not sure if this is a quicker time, though, Will.
I'm not sure either, as here he goes then, passing the 1 minute mark. Mitchell de Jong, number 24 machine, winning last time out for that VRS Coanda Simsports machine, as they work themselves then down towards the wall of champions, and a wiggle. Here he comes then towards the start finish line. What's he going to do? He is faster, but not in terms of position. Yes, he is. He goes up into 3rd place for the time being. Hutu on a lap right now as he works himself down towards the 2nd of the 2 chicanes. Hutu looking to improve. He's an outlap there, Johnny, but he's looking to improve on a 1:13.338.
Yeah, sorry there. I was going to say he's coasting as well, just trying to manage those tires. The track temp, as we said, now it's, well, at least on my radar, it's at 28 degrees Celsius, so it's not that strenuous at the moment. He'll just want to get those tires up to speed, up to temperature. The biggest difficulty about coasting through an outlap is that sometimes you can tend to break rhythm. Heading into turn 1 here at Montreal, it's very easy to lose the rear end. So if you lose some tire temperature and you're going to brake hard and you lose some brake temperature too,
oh my
you
God,
want to make sure you have some front bias.
Kazuki's back!
Kazuki Mishima.
Jake is back! We were talking about him.
We were. Oh my God, what a time. Kazuki Gun is back in the chamber.
Yes.
Wow. I have to say, Will, that's all well and good, putting himself on the front row right now, but he's got to go and make it happen in the race. We've seen how bad Radicals have been in terms of their racing so far. They've got something to prove. Hutu, though, is on his final lap. He's currently 6th, Will.
Did you see the back end step out on that car through 4 and 5? That was insane, Johnny.
You've got to push through 4 and 5, though, so the back end stepping out could be a good thing. It's not going to actually be the quickest way around, but it means that he's certainly got this car dialed in at hopefully the way he wants it. This is the tight chicane coming towards the 2nd sector, and now through turn 10. This is where he really needs to nail the braking zone. There's literally 2 apexes through this one hairpin that he has to nail.
Here he comes then through the hairpin. Takes a tighter line, draws it out on corner exit. Let's go on board then with the driver of Gregor Hutu as he goes towards the final chicane here. But Kazuki Umeshima currently in P number 2, Matt Backham in P number 3, Mitchell de Jong in P number 4. We've got Martin Kroenke out on a lap as we speak. We've got Umeshima out on track. We'll need to get confirmation as 1:13.125 there for Gregor Hutu. He's up into 3rd, cannot beat Kazuki Umeshima. So Martin Kroenke right now, this is the Martin Kroenke we knew before Phillip Island, in which he was always dominating qualifying sessions. He's on a lap right now. Jake, just to confirm, is Umeshima got 1 more lap to go?
I put Kazuki Umeshima as yes, he's coming on to his final lap, so this is a showdown here. Kazuki Umeshima versus Martin Kroenke, and I don't think anybody this season thought we'd see this happening. Kroenke heading through the right and then the left then of 8 and 9, looking for the hairpin now at turn 10 and looking for this opportunity to pounce and strike and get into the 112s. So the first and only driver so far in this qualifying session to do so. Fantastic run that he gets coming out of the corner. And now this long straight he looks to push. 300 kilometers an hour he hits now at a small kink. Keeps going. 320. Looking to go faster. 330. Keeps going. 335 kilometers an hour. Onto the brakes. Wall of Champions chicane. He comes along. He gets a very, very aggressive on that 2nd curb and almost clips the wall as he looks to make the run for the line. And he does a 12.9. Perfect. Martin Kroenke.
Yep, so he's done it. But Umeshima, can someone call up the TBS commentators, please, from Japan, just in case, because also Mogar Filo's inside the top 10. This is no fluke by Radicals here today. It looks as though this may well be their opportunity to try and go for broke. Here comes Kazuki Umeshima. Perfect, actually, over the wall of champion chicane towards the start finish line. 1:13.311, not able to go faster. He remains in 2nd place for the time being. That is qualifying done, but for a short heartbeat there, Johnny, I thought Kazuki would have done it. I look back and actually he just took a little bit too much curb then on the run through that final chicane. The nerves got to him like it did a few years ago.
Yeah, and that was the chicane. That's where the bad memories are, and he just scrubbed off too much speed there. But, you know, we always think about J.R. Hildebrand, remember at the Indy 500, and you could have had a shot to win that race. Maybe Kazuki Umashima's making up for it again, and I'd always like to see J.R. Hildebrand win the Indy 500. Maybe Umashima's going to do a similar story here today. Who knows?
Yeah. What a qualifying session, though, Jake. Again, what a qualifying session. And anyone who says the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is predictable, yeah, Martin Kroenke is on pole position. Umashima ahead of Hutu, Backham ahead of De Jong, Rogers still doing well in P number 6, Ostgaard right now in P number 7, and then you've got yourself Philo, who's best qualifying in quite a while.
Yeah, and you talk about who's not in the mix. You got Ollie Pakala miles down the order in the number 26 machine, not being able to get himself some times to practice. And Yuta Saito is in dead last position. How many times do you say Yuta Saito is dead last? I don't think I've ever had a chance to ever get an opportunity to say it will. This has been a bonkers qualifying, and this looks like it could be a bonkers race to go along with it.
Qualifying results then here from the third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And what a qualifying it has been. Martin Kroenke, VRS Koana Simsports, the only driver once again to break into the 112 bracket. It's what he likes to do, as he's done it again, 1/10 of a second ahead of Kazuki Umashima for Radicals Online. Best qualifying by Umashima in a long time, and he out-qualifies Gregor Hutu. Hey, let's get that replay back up from a few years ago. Umashima ahead of Hutu. 4th place is Matt Backham. 5th place is Mitchell de Jong. Then Burst Esports, Joshua Rogers. A great qualifying again by him in P number 6. Tommy Osgard in 7th place and Marty Piatella behind him in 8th. Peter Berman in 9th. And then a second Radicals Online driver, a Mogar Philo in top 10. When's the last time we said 2 Radicals drivers inside of your top 10? I can't quite remember. Antoine Hegelin, Apex Racing UK, leads an all Apex Racing UK row number 6 with Kevin Ellis Jr. alongside him on that 6th row. Marcus Hinton, the second Burst Esports driver in P number 13, Coursing Racing, Pashlis Gergis in 14th, Michael Partington for Radicals Online in P number 15, Jamie Fluke, Balas Remiek, Frake Shawhorse, David Williams, and Yal Vaz round out your top 20. We'll be back in a moment's time.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero. With fearless thoughts, emotions swirl. I wanna be the man that saves the world. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero.
Welcome back to RaceSpot TV's live and exclusive coverage of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. As you just saw the trailer, Global Rallycross World Championship Series coming soon to iRacing Live, brought to you also exclusively by RaceSpot TV. And while Jake, we've had the guys going around the ovals. We've had the guys going around in Grand Prix cars. We've had the guys doing team racings. It's now time for us to do a little bit of rallycross.
It is, and unfortunately, Will, because of what you know and what I know, I have to plead the fifth here.
Yes, you do indeed. But Johnny, you are going to be the lead commentator for that series, and we've been hyping up the different variety on iRacing for so long right now. So one of the things that's going to be fantastic is seeing, I'd say, a new set of drivers plus this driver that we might know from the World Championship Grand Prix Series that we know as Mitchell de Jong.
Yeah, and he is, obviously, as we know, real-life Red Bull Global Rallycross driver, and he's very quick in a virtual thing, too, so it must replicate the real thing, of course. But it's such an exciting group of drivers. We had an exciting event about 12 hours ago, yet again, P2 to P7, separated by like 2 seconds, I think, and it was just absolute chaos, calamity, all in a good way. And it had a bit of everything, GRC, didn't it? Shorter races, too. It applies to sort of the modern-day fan base and gets a lot of a young audience, too. GRC is incredible. Check it out. The World Championship about to start soon. The Pro Series coming to an end. That's also been entertaining.
Yeah, we've also got 2 World Championship Dirt Series coming soon your way as well on iRacing. Check out iRacing.com for more details about all of the iRacing World Championship Series. Let's bring you back, though, to the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Martin Kroenke, pole position once again. Jake, yeah, that's not a surprise, so to say, but it's the guy in second place that really astounded us today.
It was, and we've talked about how it has been a long and arduous journey and how it's all not worked for Kazuki Umeshima. He's been fighting tooth over nail to get back to a position where he can attack, he can refocus, and he can really go out there and prove what he's worth. And I think that today, in these conditions, Kazuki Umeshima P2 is one of the greatest qualifying performances I think we've seen in a very long time. We've not seen a Radicals Online ability like this in qualifying since Suzuka 2 years ago. This is a Radicals Online that has vehicles now in the top 10. That is saying, you know, we're not going to be forgotten. We're going to work really hard for this. And Kazuki Umeshima P2, that is the cat that nobody wanted amongst the World Championship pigeons.
2 Radicals Online drivers inside the top 10, 3 inside the top 15, Johnny. And we were downplaying them almost in our Twitch TV pre-race show.
I'm not sure how, well, I'm not trying to degrade them. I'm saying I'm not sure how they're so quick. So it's absolutely incredible from the Radicals Online team. And hopefully their race pace, though, shows up. That's the question here today.
Yeah, and Rob Cuss, a Radicals Online team manager, if you are here, would love to talk to you before we go on air for our race coverage. In the meanwhile, we have got, of course, the pole lap. And this was done by Martin Kroenke. We're going to show it to you right about now. So this is Martin Kroenke. You set the lap up, coming through the wall of champion chicane. And as he comes past, start finish line right now, Johnny, take us through it.
So here he goes through turn number 1, and he starts to lose the rear end incredibly through there. You want to pick up the throttle through the exit through turn number 2. It's really important to search for that brake marker on the left-hand side here through turn number 3. You wait for the rear end to balance as you're up close to the wall, and then you apply the throttle. Here's a braking zone where you want to trail brake and sort of steer into the corner as you sort of got that left foot on the brake pedal. Important again to wait for the rear end to stabilize through 7 before you apply the throttle. Then a good brake reference here is just under the bridge for 8 and 9. Watch those anti-cut sausage curbs. They are not pleasant to drive on for sure. And then through turn 10, the very bumpy chicane. Straight line this as much as possible. There's really 2 apexes you take through this corner. There's one, and there's an imaginary second one there as you start to straighten the car up for the exit. And here's where you get a break as a driver. check your lap time, make sure everything's good. During the race, you'll see adjustments being made through here. This is a DRS zone and an overtaking spot. Yet again, look through the brake markers. Straight line this chicane as much as possible. Whoa, goodness gracious, does he play that to perfection up against the wall. And he stays to the right for the shortest run to the line. That saves a bit of lap time too. So he was the only driver, Will, in the 1 minute 12 range with a 1 minute 12.987. Blistering lap from our two-time world champion.
11,800 RPM he was going into that wall, the champion chicane. And one of the things we want to talk about, Jake, is, well, there's so many things I want to talk about. We've only got 4 minutes to do so. But we'll start off with the chicanes here. There's 3 of them, and they are all equally difficult.
They are all equally difficult, but all for completely different reasons. In fact, you could say there's 4 different chicanes, Will. The first chicane is that sort of flowing, passing chicane where you have an opportunity to make a move if you didn't already do it on the opening lap. Then you've got the big one at turn 5, 6. That's the issue that you normally get to see when, say, for example, your name's Sebastian Vettel and you want to run off on the water. That much is a different point in contention entirely. You then have that third chicane, which is very much pinpoint accuracy. The moment you step an inch offline, you're in trouble there. And then, of course, that final chicane, the prime overtaking opportunity, Will. Each chicane has a different makeup to it, but every single one, it's almost like trying to run the gauntlet.
It is. Tyres are going to be a big, big issue today here as well, Johnny. Because of the fact there is so many big braking zones. And last time out, it was about the 2 stoppers versus the 3 stoppers. And the 2 stoppers won. This time out, I'd say the same thing again. Actually, I might even say, if I'm going to be daring, 2 versus 3 versus 4 stoppers. But I think that 3 stopper is the way to go.
Yeah, I mean, 4 stoppers... I don't know. There's
Climax
a history
Delorco.
at Montreal. Yeah, well, he's not racing, but
yeah.
There's a history at Montreal for the abrasive track surface here. So, look, I don't know if that's going to be too extreme today with the... who knows how the track temps are going to be like during the race. But, yeah, as you say, 2 or 3 stops really going to be the strategy to go with. Expect the first stops for those 3-stop runners to be about lap 14 onwards at the absolute earliest. The 2 stoppers run to about lap 20, 21, but... You don't really, this season, Will, where it gets interesting is that you don't really get a sign as to who's on which strategy until that second stop. Because somebody could just be extending that first stint, but still be on a 3-stop, which is weird, but hey, we saw that happen in round 1 a few times.
We did indeed, as the question is now about who is going to win this motor race. I'm going to start with the guy on social media, Connery Maddock, as ever doing a sterling job. Connery, who is going to win this race today?
My head says Martin Kroenke, my heart says Kazuki Umeshima. That's just the way of things right now.
Jake?
I'm going to go outside the box. Gregor Hutu's winning today.
Breaking the streak there, Jake. Johnny, what about you?
Logically, it looks like it's going to be Kroenke at this stage with that pace.
Well, so we've got 1 for Kroenke, 1 for Umeshima, and 1 for Gregor Hutu. But keep an eye, by the way, on the drivers in P number 6 and P number 7, Joshua Rogers and Tommy Oscar, because they have both had good qualifyings, and they may well seek to go off strategy to try and get themselves an advantage early on in this event. So keep an eye out on the drivers down in P number 6 and P number 7, because they were just within, or just outside, a quarter of a second. That is it for our qualifying show. In a moment's time, we'll bring you to our race coverage here at Montreal. It's my favorite racetrack outside of Indianapolis and maybe Zandvoort. But this is my favorite round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And I know the same is for all the fans here. We'll see you on the other side. Race coverage from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve coming up after the break here on RaceWhat TV, YouTube Gaming, Twitch TV, and Facebook Live. Don't go anywhere because this will be spectacular.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero. With fearless thoughts, emotions swirl. I wanna be the man that saves the world. Start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero.
Because here comes Holgate. He has the outside line through the final corner for the final time. Once again, photo finish here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMeritt at the line. This weekend, we've got ourselves a Chinese Grand Prix. We've got ourselves a Toyota Grand Prix at Long Beach. Both of those are fantastic events. Well, I'll tell you one thing. If this race is anywhere near as good as that, I'll go and get myself an iRacing. Oh, wait a minute. I've done that one already. So in that case, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And welcome to Montreal. Welcome to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. This racetrack is a street course that doesn't feel like one that much. It's a temporary circuit set on the Ile Notre Dame alongside the Olympic rowing basin that was used for the Canadian Olympics. Track length is about 2.6 miles in length, 13 corners, and today we'll be going for 70 laps of 305 kilometers, and it made its iRacing debut in 2010. Pole position today goes to the driver of Martin Cronkey, but there's so many other storylines. I want to give a quick shout out to Andy Warner and One Design for overlay designs, to development by Simon Grossman and Appgeneering.com, and Nick Thisson for live Racebot TV, live timing and scoring, and of course finally to Isman Balau, TrackCams22.com. Jake Sperry, are you ready?
I have to be ready. That is my contractual obligation to this series. I must be ready.
Are you really ready, though?
I am more than ready. I am starving. I want to get food. I can't because my hunger for this race is too appealing.
And Jonathan Saman, of course, here as well. Johnny, we love this racetrack. We've commentated so many years of this track. And one thing I love about this track is its unpredictability and the fact that this is a real driver's track. Because if you push too hard early, you are going to lose out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. God, this is a driver's track. And as I said, it suits aggressive drivers, those who are really strong under braking. And overtaking is not easy here, and it's not hard either. It is a challenge. But if you get it right, you get the rewards, of course, too. So look out. It's a very short run heading into turn 1. And look out for those early pit stops on lap 15 for anybody on the 3-stop. And, of course, pit window opens for the 2-stoppers on around lap 21.
Yeah, this track is one that could prove to be really unpredictable. It's like almost Raw after WrestleMania, some will call it. Just having a look at a driver right now. It's Matt Backham, currently P number 2 in practice here, Jake. And he's a driver that I think might deliberately try and go off strategy to try and see if he can get the race victory. His first, of course, it would be in the World Championship Grand Prix Series.
Let's not forget that Matt Backham is 4th in the championship right now. By no means is he out of it, but he is a good 30 or 40 points back at the moment. So he has work to do here at this race, and he's got to make sure that he puts himself in the wheelhouse, Will, where he can go and make the strategy work. He has been so good off of the starts. Let's hop back to Indianapolis last year, Will, where he went from 4th to 1st, then back to 3rd, and then out of the race.
Yes. And that's the thing for Backham. He is a late breaker, and that works really well at this track. Another driver who we need to keep an eye out on, there's 2 drivers we need to keep an eye out on, Johnny. One of them is Tommy Osgard. He's inside the top 10. And, of course, the other is that Burst esports driver who could, again, also be spectacular here today as well, of Josh Rogers.
Yeah, exactly. So Josh Rogers starting ahead of Tommy. I'm very impressed with Tommy Osgard because he's shown some real rapid improvement at Coanda Simsport. He's learned a lot. He's had now a month or so with that team. And, man, I'm impressed by him. So good stuff from them. Down the order I look as well. Daniel Bieder, Ilka Happala, Dion Burgess, a couple of Ryan cars as well. Yuta Saito, we know, starting last. Paul Ulbrink, 27th. Let's see Stephen Michaels and Ricardo Orozco from 22nd and 23rd. They both need to impress because when you're at the bottom end order and you're finding your way in those teams that aren't really too popular, it's like you want to impress, you know, and you want to grow yourself.
One driver that really does need to have a fantastic start and a fantastic opening few laps here, Jake, is the driver of Ollie Pakula, because he is not qualified well here today.
No, and it's the Ollie Pakula of last season, the Ollie Pakula that didn't practice, didn't get himself up to the forefront, and hasn't got himself the pace to go out there and drive this car as a one-track thing. Ollie Pakula can't do that in this series. No driver can do that in this series. This isn't like any other esports series in the world where you can turn up an hour before, drive the vehicle off its socks and win the race. You can't do that here. What you have to do is practice this vehicle. It is the toughest vehicle in sim racing.
I think Ricky Alatalo might try and contradict you there a little bit, Jake, but he only did that once, of course, at Road Atlanta many years ago. But to talk about the front 3, of course, you've got yourselves the driver of Martin Kronke, then you got Kazuki Umeshima, and then you got yourself Gregor Hutu. Does that inside line, Johnny, do you think that's going to help Hutu on the run down towards 1?
It certainly helps, but then you need the inside into the next corner, don't you, into turn 2. So when you're side by side through that first corner, you really just have to hold your breath and trust the driver on the outside. But to be honest, Will, it's such a short run down into turn 1. I really don't know if the drivers have a chance to make a difference. Let's hope they prove me wrong.
Well, we've got ourselves 30 seconds left then of practice. Let's put your grid up then for the 3rd round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. And out front, it will be Martin Kronke, who will get himself a time of 1:12.987. He was the fastest driver by a tenth of a second over Kazuki Umeshima. 3rd place, well, that driver is Gregor Hutu. 4th place, Mac Backham. 5th is Mitchell de Jong. 6th, Joshua Rogers, Tommy Oscar, and Marty Piatella. Then Peter Berriman and Mo Garfilo. Antoine Hegelin and Kevin Ellis Jr., row number 6. Both for Apex Racing UK. Burst Esports Marcus Jensen 13th, Core Sim Racing Pashas Gergis in P14. Michael Partington, P number 15, Jamie Fluke in 16th, Ballas Remiek, Frank Shawhorse, David Williams and Yao Vaz. They are your top 20. 29 drivers here today in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series event from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and the drivers are now lining up on the starting grid. this really is a track with a big race feel to it. Because if you do it right, you have the chance to really cement yourself to winning one of the best tracks in the world. Get it wrong, like Kazuki Mishima did a few years ago, like Sebastian Vettel's done, like Michael Schumacher's done over the years. Then, you know what? You go from hero to zero so very quickly. So you got to get it right, because otherwise, basically, it could be catastrophic for you. And that is a situation as we are now lining ourselves up on the starting grid, getting ourselves ready then for the green flag here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Front row, Martin Kroenke, Kazuki Umeshima. Lights are on, engines are revving. And the third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is underway. 4 wide already as they come down in towards turn number 1. Side by side, it's been a poor start actually by a couple of drivers. A bit of bumping. Hutu got bumped there earlier. And we've got a driver going very slowly. That's Mitchell de Jong. He's lost all forms of positions at the start of this event as we go on board of him. Mitchell de Jong all the way down into P number 15. Very bad start by him. We're going to have a look back at the start of this one soon. But also, Martin Kroenke right now is leading. Kazuki Umeshima second, Backham up into third, and Hutu into the 4th position. Peter Berriman, fantastic start by him. He now runs in at that 5th spot as they come down in towards the second chicane for the first time here. But Jake, wow, what a start. They were going 4 wide there in towards turn number 1, and Joshua Rogers has spun as we're going to get ourselves a replay of the start.
Yeah, it was a manic start. Mitchell de Jong getting caught out, Josh Rogers getting caught out, and at turn 5, also getting caught out was Tommy Erskard. So 3 big runners inside the top 10, all running into issues in the opening stages. Not ideal at all, and that is the nature of the bottleneck here at Gilles Villeneuve, and you have to make sure you are out of that situation. And Mitchell de Jong suddenly has a lot of work to do here today if he wants any chance to get back. His next challenge is Michael Partington.
Yeah, there's a replay of Erskard and Rogers, 2 people who we thought could well win the race, and they were out early. Let's get ourselves one more quick look then at the start from our aerial coverage as they go from the start. And actually, I think it was a jump start then by one of the Coanda drivers as they got themselves ready to go. And there we are. There's the start of the race. And what I saw early on is, look at that, charging for the field from P number 8. I think it was that Piatella, one of the Coanda drivers, but also de Jong going slowly, and that cost him a huge ton of time. There's battles going on between a Radicals Online driver and one of the Coanda Sim Sports drivers. But what it does mean is that Kroenke right now has a 1.2 second advantage over the driver of Kazuki Umeshima. So Umeshima is able to stay in second place at the start. Backham right now in 3rd place, Hutu in 4th place, and Peter Berriman in P number 5. However, Berriman has lost contact already with Gregor Hutu. He is 1.6 seconds back from him. The battle that's really going on is between Kazuki Umeshima and then Matt Backham and then the driver of Gregor Hutu, Johnny. And that is for second place on track.
Yeah, and at the start, Hutu got tapped at turn number 2, so he lost a bit of time, and de Jong was wrestled around as we saw. So de Jong, our race winner from last round, he finds himself in 11th behind Michael Partington right now. He's got a chance at a move here, and it could take place in the 1, but I think de Jong's just a little bit too far behind, of course, as well. So, driver off in front, Radical's car off. I think it's Filio.
Yeah, it is.
Spun at turn number 2.
There we are then, Mogar Filia, and he's going to lose so much time, because the thing is, if you lose at a 1 on the early stage of a race here, Jake, as a replay is going to come up, you just have to sit there and wait. And here's the replay for Filio. Turns into the corner, runs wide onto the curb at 2, then loops it around.
It's so easy to do. It's so easy to go so aggressive as they battle in front. Ilbrink with a slowdown penalty. He will now drop himself behind Mogar Filio. So I think that when you try and push so hard into that opening few laps, you've got to be so careful about how you really manage yourself. It's so easy to make that mistake. Filio's found out the hard way. He's now got to make a lot of progress to go through, as down the inside, Mitchell de Jong on Michael Partington. Partington can't get the cut back, but it's so easy to get wrong. I'd rather have the incident early, Will, than have the incident with 2 to go.
Well, yes, precisely, and of course, that is what happened to Kazuki Umeshima a couple of years ago. De Jong is charging back for this field, by the way, Johnny. He's up back now to P number 9 on track after being down in P number 15 earlier on. And also visit racesport.tv/timing for up to the second timing and scoring information here on Racesport TV.
Yeah, it's important for De Jong, so who knows what strategy he's on. If he was possibly on that 2-stop like he opted for at Phillip Island, which made him, actually helped him gain the race win, might have to adjust this round to the 3-stop. Overtaking a little bit easier here this round at Montreal. And he now heads through the middle section. He's got Anton Heggelin up the road. Anton Heggelin's teammate Kevin Ellis Jr. with a rapid start into P7 too. So those two guys have been on the ball here early on in the early stages of this race. Retirement, the only one in the race so far was Redline's Freek Schotters, and we didn't cover him much. He qualified all the way down in 18th, was in that mid-pack battle, and that's why qualifying is important. He finds himself in an incident and out of the race.
Yeah, we're on board of Pashas Gergis right now versus Marcus Jensen. So it's Burst Esport versus Core Sim Racing. Core Sim Racing, Jake, of course, adding some new drivers. Marius Gronenbeck is one of them. None of them really are going to be competing in the World Championship Grand Prix Series, but the technical support that Core Sim Racing are going to have now, that is going to really improve over the next couple of months.
It is. It's the renaissance of Core. And you talk about drivers like Ross Balfour, who I am really excited to see as just in front of Gergis. Side by side, Jamie Fluke then, the Northern Irishman, with a bit of luck then down the inside of Michael Partington. It's going to be a switchback attempt from Partington through 2. Radicals maybe not quite having the pace here today as Partington doesn't make the move stick. So that is through going Jamie Fluke. But you're right, Core Sim Racing, they're trying to build this team back up again. They lost some pretty big drivers, and you could accuse the team of being a 1 or 2 man team once those drivers left. Not the case anymore. They are really building a strong collective. Yes, it's not for the Formula 1 right now, but all of that exposure is going to help.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to Marius Gronenbeck, of course, former commentator on the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series back in 2013. How does time fly away? Matt Backham versus Kazuki Umeshima right now for second place on track. Well, Backham on one hand is trying to pull away from Hutu, but right now, Jake, he's hoping that Umeshima actually puts that noisy pedal down because they both want to get away from that 1 second window.
I think they both do, because Gregor Hutu's just going to stay there, and as we know, Redline traditionally like having a bit more downforce, so they can't necessarily pull away as Backham pulls himself within a 1/10 of a second, had a little cheeky look there to the inside, wasn't able to make things happen. But it's not the fact that they have Gregor Hutu there that's worrying them. What's worrying them is the fact that Martin Kroenke already has a 2-second gap at the front of the field. What worries them is the fact that Kazuki Umeshima isn't fast enough, and what will worry Matt Backham is that he can't get past this Radicals online machine, and he is stuck, proverbially, looking to try and chase down for a race victory today.
Yeah, Marcus Jensen's just had a change of position down in P number 13. Balas Remniak has gone past him, according to our timing and scoring, or maybe not. Sorry, a bit of an issue there. Technical glitch. We'll move on from that one quickly. The thing is, though, Johnny, at this top 4, you've got yourself 2 cool-headed drivers, Martin Kroenke, Gregor Hutu, 2 hotheads in the middle, and they will, there's a big wiggle there by Kazuki Umeshima, as this could give the opportunity now to Matt Backham, as they work themselves down towards the Wall of Champion chicane. Of course, it's the Wall of Champion chicane where there's been issues previously for Umeshima. He's going to take the defensive line already, but down to the inside, Backham now up into P number 2, Umeshima down into 3rd place. There's going to talk about hot-headedness there. Now, actually, Umeshima is going to be in the same situation he was in a few years ago, defending from Gregor Hutu.
Here's Hutu up the inside, and Umeshima more than assertively blocks the racing line, and Hutu escapes disaster there, as it could have been quite a hefty incident for the both of them at high speeds there into turn 1. It's really a 3rd or 4th gear corner. You're pounding that car into the apex and at a high speed. So Hutu, they're lucky that everything, and Umeshima was aware of that, of course. So he's going to have to make another attempt here. It's not going to happen at least until the first real opportunity is into the hairpin at turn 10, but I think he'll probably get it done on that back straight. And again, Umeshima was lucky, Will, because he did not have DRS to defend from either Backham or Gregor.
Yeah, as just to give you an update, Tommy Osgaard has retired in that number 1 machine as well, Jake. So 2 drivers who we thought could have been a factor before qualifying took place, Tommy Osgaard, Freek Schotters, are out. To give you an update on some of the other drivers who we thought would do really well here today, Umeshima, of course, in 3rd place, Matt Backham in 2nd, but I'm looking to see where the driver of Josh Rogers is, and he's all the way down now in P number 24 after the issues early on for that Burst Esports car.
Yeah, he's got a battle now with Mogar Filio, who's also been involved in his mistakes, so the Burst Esport machine needs to work on how he can push himself through the field. That much is paramount right now for Josh Rogers, so he's going to close up 330Ks on the brakes, so much more confident than Mogar Filio, as Filio pretty much paint by numbers through that section. Rogers struggling a little bit with the dirty air and able to capitalise into 2 and 1 as well. So when you get bogged down, Will, you start to get frustrated. This is where the mistakes start to creep in for Josh Rogers. We've seen the sort of drives he can do back through the field. The likes of Imola springs to mind in the Road Pro Series. He's now got to invoke that again and make things happen as Filio gets all shades of wrong there through 4, and that's going to open the door for a defensive line taken, and Filio's not going to back down without a scrap.
Yeah, and there is Josh Rogers right behind him, and he's going to go down to the inside on the exit of that corner. They run themselves down towards the true second chicane then. Mogar Filio will lose that position under the bridge. They will come and down into P number 24 then for Filio. Of course, the Radicals Online team, sponsored by Six Sideways, who are a team that takes place in the Battery Tender Global MX5 Championship presented by BF Goodrich. I got it right for the first time in a very long time. And the thing is, when a race like this, when you have 3 drivers, Johnny, taking qualifying inside the top 15 for the first time in a long time, you expect a big performance. But actually now we are resting our hopes for that team on Kazuki Umeshima, who runs in 3rd, who is just about holding off Gregor Hutu.
Yeah, but he's slowly drifting off the pace. Backham's already almost dropped him by a second, so I don't think Umeshima's going to have DRS this lap around. And if that's the case, that's going to make the overtake a lot easier for Gregor. And that's the only reason why Hutu hasn't been passed, is because Umeshima's had the DRS to defend. Peter Berryman's 1.7 seconds behind Hutu, so he's got a lot to make up here at this stage. But you know what? Umeshima, if he can sustain this, possible top 5, he'll at least finish in the top 10 without mistakes. But let's see if his pace sustains for the rest of this stint.
It's been a crazy couple of opening laps here in the 3rd round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Biggest movers inside of your top 10. Jamie Fluke right now is up up 6 places from P16 to P number 10. You also have Kevin Ellis Jr. up from P12 to P number 7. Mr. Dependable, Martin Piatella is up 2 places, and Peter Barron is up 4. So what we can basically establish from that, it's been a fantastic opening start for Apex Racing UK, Jake. And they are a team that often we've seen them fade away at the start of races, after the first phase of races, but they are holding their own right now. On board with Jamie Fluke, he's in no man's land, 2 seconds between himself and Mitchell de Jong in P number 9, and de Jong has not been able to gain any more places since that early scurry in the first 3-4 laps.
Not only is he unable to gain places, he's unable to gain time as well on Antoine Higeland. So Mitchell de Jong is very much stuck at this moment, Will. Apex are showing they have a great race pace package underneath them. Kevin Ellis Jr. looking like he can maybe challenge Martin Piatella, but Piatella having that attack on Peter Berryman. And we've said absolutely nothing so far this broadcast about Peter Berryman. He's doing a sensational job right now in position number 5. All the more plaudits to him as he looks to hold off 6 seconds off of the lead as things stand.
Yep, the Berryman can indeed. He is running in P number 5 in that number 69 car. He's got himself a 7/10 of a second advantage over Martin Piatella. And the last 3 laps, they have been almost dead equal, Jake. What's going on?
That's Umeshima heavy over the curb at the final chicane. This is the chance for Gregor Hutu. Has to go the long way round at turn number 1. He'll hold it around the outside. Inside line for turn number 2. Umeshima going to hold that track. Side by side to 3. They're going to go along. Hutu can't afford to get him caught up any further than this, or he'll drop Matt Backham down to the inside. Makes it decisive on Kazuki Gun, and that's Hutu up onto the podium.
Replay coming up right now on board of Umeshima. So this is him going over the curve in the first place, and you just notice the fact that Gregor Hutu all of a sudden pounces, and Hutu then, he was, I would say, not too aggressive there, because Umeshima almost cut him off there through turn number 2, Jake. But then in towards turn number 3, Hutu had the inside line, and at that point, there's almost nothing you can do.
Well, there's a certain point when the 5-time champion has to slam his foot down with authority, and that was it, Will. There was no way that Kazuki Umeshima was going to hold that back. He's got to be careful. That's twice I've seen him make a couple of small errors at the front of this field that has cost him a couple of positions. I wonder if Kazuki Umashima's race pace isn't quite there, that he still needs to practice a couple of things, because Peter Berryman's going to eat him alive if he's not careful. Same for Martin Piatella, same for Kevin Ellis Jr. Let's not forget, though, Martin Piatella may have a chance to finish this race because there's no Freddie Rasmussen.
Oh, Johnny, one thing I was about to say there is that it looks as though that, again, Umashima is driving outside of the remit of what that car should be able to deliver. As Martin Piatella, we ride on board of him in P number 6. One thing I do love, by the way, recently is you can now see the gear, the RPM that these guys are doing. And that does really add a huge dimension to the viewers about really how these guys tackle the racetrack as you stay on board of Piatella.
It's always good when you're a driver. You want to watch these World Championship drivers here, an onboard lap of them.
Moritz Lohner's off.
And what's going on?
Moritz Lohner's off.
Sorry. Oh. You want to go through with that?
Yeah, let's show a quick replay. You carry on.
I lost what was my point about? So you're watching World Championship drivers. So if you want to watch like onboard laps and they upload them onto different online platforms, it's always good because you sort of learn the gears they take through corners. You can see even their own telemetry, throttle, brake inputs. I know Virtual Racing School and VRS do something very similar as well with a more advanced platform. So it's always good. The basic thing is if you jump into this car for the first time and you're struggling to find some pace, just watch these big guns on an onboard lap.
Yep. The crash there, Jake, for Moritz Lohner was very similar to Jarno Trulli's crash back in 1997. And the thing about this racetrack as well is, of course, yes, you're in a virtual world, so it's not going to be you break your leg, but the walls are so close to the edge of the racetrack here.
They are, and you can't afford to make mistakes like that. And it wasn't the fact that he hit the wall, it was the fact that he got on the curb and then spun and hit the wall. That's what hurt Moritz Lohner. I also saw something else, though, Will, at the end of the lap, and that was Yuta Saito spinning at the hairpin, cost himself about 4 positions, outbraking himself, getting all caught up on the marbles, and that was enough to drop him back behind Dion Verges. Yeah,
and it actually gained about 9 positions in this race until then, Johnny. So Yuta Saito was trying to work out in that Radicals Online car, but it's not been the day for Radicals Online. But as we talk about that, we talk about a former Radicals Online driver on Matt Backham versus Martin Kroenke right now. And let's put the lap gaps up. He has gained little bits, but then he loses a bit on one lap as they come down towards the final chicane, the World Champion chicane, of course, here. Famous because of the 1999 Canadian Grand Prix, the one that says Bienvenue à Quebec. Past the start finish line, they're going to come again. Martin Kroenke will do a 1 minute 16.386, and again, Backham is faster 2 out of 3 laps.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that it's only faster by such a small amount here as Matt Backham takes quite an inside line heading at the exit of turn 2. Here's turn 3, such a fun corner as well, right up close to the wall. It always gets an adrenaline rush for you, but of course we're heading towards those first pit stop for those on the 3 stop, so who knows if these tires settle well at the moment. Drivers lapping in that 16.3 range, as we said, for Backham and Kroenke, not that bad. So they can continue for that 2 stop.
And also, Hutu is closing up on the rear of Matt Backham. And this is when, Jake, I know you've got some big secret plans I'm not allowed to talk about. But one of the things about Gregor Hutu is the fact that in the second third of a stint, Gregor Hutu, in my opinion, is the best driver in the history of the Grand Prix World Championship Series.
He is, because he has this ornate ability to get to the second half of a stint and go, you know what? Now's my time to pounce and attack. A 16.1 on that last lap was fantastic for Hutu. It's bringing him back into the picture. He was a 1.5 seconds back at the start of the last lap. He does himself a 16.2 this time by. He is the fastest man on track by far and away at this point. So he is closing that gap down little by little as Backham closes the gap down little by little. For the first time in a long time, Will, Martin Kroenke is not the quickest driver out on circuit, and that much is paramount and detriment to the work that is being put in.
But he is progressing. He got himself the early advantage, and that might be the most important thing here to help Martin Kroenke re-establish a potential new streak. As we having a look at Peter Berryman versus Martin Piatella, that is a battle going on for P number 5 on track, and Piatella is closing up on that one as well. Don't forget, you can catch up on all of your favorite drivers from iRacing and the world of esports on the Simone Racing Report. New episodes every few weeks catch that one on YouTube. Link will be in the description. And also, don't forget, you can catch the write-up of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series event, as well as news, information, and the rankings as well in the Sim Racing Observer. Catch that every single week as a part of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Let's have a look further back. Antoine Hegelin, by the way, is putting pressure on... No, he's lost position even to Mitchell de Jong. I'll take that one back there, Johnny. Mitchell de Jong's now up into P number 8.
Yep, so he disposes of Hegelin. And now de Jong's just on that recovery drive. Kevin Ellis Jr. 2 seconds up the road. He's broken away from Mitchell de Jong, but Ellis Jr., though, switching back onto that, he's joined that little fight there between Berryman and Piatella. So we hear an accident. Daniel Bieder involved here as well.
Talk us through it there, Jake.
Well, I found it. So the final chicane, it was an attempt by Ilka Harpala down the inside. It was just a case of Bieder just not being able to give enough room, I don't think, there to Ilka Harpala on the inside. He was always going to keep a nose in. And for Bieder to try and take that one track line, it was a very hairy, scary accident.
Yeah, and also he got very close to disqualifying himself because he did actually go backwards on the racetrack as well there, Jake.
You have a limited amount of time that you can go backwards. It's very much discouraged to go backwards. I haven't seen too often a driver go backwards. I have seen, though, someone get lost at Silverstone on the national circuit and then go backwards upwards towards Cops Corner.
Yes. Martin Piatella back on board of him because he now really has closed up to the rear of Peter Berryman. Kevin Ellis Jr. is there in that mix as well. Let's go on board for a lap then with Martin Piatella and VRS Commander Sim Sports. Well, there's a lap on board of Martin Piatella as he's been battling it out with, in the middle, shall we say, of an Apex Racing UK train. But let's have a look at the track conditions for a moment. 17 kilometre an hour winds, 24 degrees air temperature. Of course, track temperature is higher than that. 51% race relative humidity. Johnny, very similar conditions to qualifying here today, and that's made it easy for some drivers to sort out their race setup compared to their qualifying one, because we've seen certain races where there's been a bit of a switch, whereas here today it's been more static, shall we say. The Canadian weather's been nice to us.
Yeah, I know, which is nice and pleasant. Canadian weather. I've been to Montreal. I've been to this racetrack in person too. It reminds me a lot of Albert Park, just the way it's built and the way you can visit it. Look at Piatella. He almost made a mockery, didn't he, of his race there by taking out Peter Berryman. Now they head to this back straight. This is a chance now, Will, for Kevin Ellis Jr. to pounce. He's going to have the draft, although you get very close here. The draft effect in this car isn't as valuable as you'd hope, and that's why Ellis Jr. just isn't able to creep up.
You need a mix of DRS and ERS as well to help you out in that back straight away. We've got to bring in, what's going on, Jake?
That's Martin Kroenke 2 seconds slower on that last lap. I've got to have a look at this. Oh, he's gone straight on at the final chicane.
No! Let's get ourselves a replay of that one then. Martin Kroenke, second race in a row. He has made a mistake. We're going to build this one up from you, from the run down to the hairpin. In the meanwhile, Connery Maddox, social media, that's going to be one thing you're really going to be talking about in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And if I didn't have to make a comment here, I'll be already on trying to get that clip uploaded. But yeah, Kroenke making a mistake. How that is, was unusual, but now he's made it 2 races in a row. So Is this the form for Kroenke starting to drop, but the car change is not really working well for him? That could be a major issue for the rest of this championship.
The thing about that one was, though, Jake, is that he knew he was going to overshoot the corner. He didn't attempt to try and take the chicane. In some ways, that was smart driving there by Martin Kroenke, because if he had gone over the anti-cut curb or over the wall, the champion chicane, he would have been into the wall, or he'd have had some suspension damage, or he would have been out.
Yeah, he committed to it, and that's the important thing. He committed to missing that chicane as he looks to get himself going forward. It does, though, mean that his goal at the start of the season to go an entire season incident point free has been completely demolished in that one moment. And it does mean now we have a battle for the lead. Matt Backham's only half a second behind now, and this is really worrying here when your own teammate, the one you weren't expecting to fight with, starts now having a scrap with you.
Yeah, but the VRS Koana Sim Sports streak does remain alive, though, Johnny. And let's not forget that 16 races in a row that Koana Sim Sports driver has won an event here in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. If you're Backham, you want to fight Martin Kroenke, but you got to remember that you don't want Hutu to win this motor race.
No, you don't. So the Koana team need to work together, and it might just be about timing this first stop right. We have a lot of drivers entering the pit lane. Jensen, Jurgis, Olli Pakala, a big name in there as well. Ricardo Orozco. Daniel Beater's been having a good race too, but he's entered the pit lane, and so he finds himself in P26. So we'll see where he ends up filing out at the end of this strategy phase. But the top three continue. Umashima continues. Berryman continues as well. On Kroenke's mistake too, he did break about 25 meters later than usual than every other lap, and that's disaster really in an F1 car.
If I was Gregor Hutu at that point, Johnny, I would have almost thought about coming on towards pit road, free-stoppering it like Michael Schumacher in 1988, because if you know that Kroenke's made one mistake this race and made one mistake last time, if you put the pressure on Martin Kroenke, I don't think Kroenke is as good on old tyres as he used to be.
The thing is, I don't think Hutu is... Look, if he goes for the undercut now, I don't think it's going to work, because Kroenke and Backham can react instantly within the next lap. The thing that Hutu might be waiting for, and this is what worked last round with Mitchell de Jong. De Jong waited to pit about 2-3 laps later. Hutu's got 1.9 seconds to Umashima, so if he pits maybe 2 laps later than the Koanda drivers, he will have stronger tires for that whole second stint of his race. And that's what is important too. You're going to gain on them 2/10 by lap, lap after lap, and that's very important. So maybe that's the strategy he's opting for.
Michael Partington comes out of pit road. He has David Williams, I think it is, right behind him. And actually, David Williams lost a position out as a consequence of it, because he had to wait for Partington to come out of pit road there, Jake.
Yeah, he did, and I find that very, very peculiar. So Michael Partington really having to make sure that there is a lot of work going on then as he battles with Olli Pakala into the right left. And I think that Michael Partington has struggled today, needs to work out now where he moves forward from here, because Pakala's not going to take any prisoners as he wants to go through. I will want to coerce and counteract that point though, Will, because I think that the tyres aren't going off as much as people would expect they would have gone off because of the colder conditions here today. I expect this to be a 2-stop, maybe even a 1-stop race here today, Will, because of the fact that these tyres are going on longer than I've thought they would do, and they've only dropped off a second in 22 laps.
They have, and actually, look at the last 2 times by, Kroenke has again stretched the gap up over Matt Backham, and Backham has fallen into the clutches of Gregor Hutu. So maybe Matt Backham, he's had a fantastic start to this event here, Jake, but maybe he's just starting to, again, to overdrive that car. And I say this with the nicest respect to Matt Backham, but that's one of those things we know him to do. Maybe he is on a 2-stopper, and if he is on a 2-stopper, he'll be onto pit road in about 3 laps time. But I've got a feeling as Rogers goes fastest, 1:15 there. Rogers, he might not be in the race right now in terms of overall position, but my God, is that Burst Esports car flying, and that maybe is a symbol of what he could have done had he have not been involved in early incidents.
Yeah, that certainly could be the case. Josh Rogers was absolutely flying. He's just pitted. He's changed the front nose as well, Will. So that is why the pace is there. He's got nothing to lose. 15.5 that last time by. A lot of gap to Paul Ilbrink, 3 seconds a lap slower in front. I think he just wants to push, Will. I think he's got nothing else that he would rather do in the world than push hard for a position. And that's what I love about Josh Rogers.
Yeah, let's have ourselves a bit of a replay, shall we? Let's go back to the start of this event here and show you what happened. And we need to do this from our aerial coverage to give you the best look at it. In fact, no, we're going to go to another camera. Here's the start then. Because what we can see is they go automatically almost 4 wide in towards turn number 1 and 2. They come into it, and you see the bump there. That's between De Jong and Gregor Hutu. Then you see more into Koana sim spots. They all bunch up through turn number 2. That's almost exactly what we expected them to do, Johnny. But this race basically was won and lost at the start for a couple of drivers.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happened to Rogers. He's down the order, and the leaders have helped, or he's at least helped the leaders. They've used him as a sort of reference point because he's just pitted, set a 15.5, and that's allowed Gregor Hutu and Kazuki Umeshima to be confident entering the pit lane, making a quick stop here, and will feed out in that mid-pack and some clean air, of course, probably ahead of Ilkka Haapala. And just behind, well, Mitchell de Jong's pitted too. He's right behind them. So Hutu away. De Jong's missed his pit box. He's lost about a second making that mistake. But more importantly, Hutu out and away. He could overtake Mac Backham if things go wrong for the Mac attack.
Backham needs to have a fantastic lap right now. As here is a look then at the driver. We are going to find him of Gregor Hutu. There we are. He's currently in P number 7, and there was his pit stop time. It was, wait, that's his current lap. His pit stop time itself was 3.9 seconds, 31.6 on pit road. That is actually the fastest we've had for anyone bar Marcus Jensen so far here today. Martin Kroenke has not yet pitted. Matt Backham has not yet pitted. And they are both on towards pit road right now. Jake, talk us through it.
Well, that was Mac Backham attacking that pit entry, and he has completely closed down 1.1 seconds as he looks to find his box. Kroenke now puts himself under immense amounts of pressure, just trying to take maybe a bit more cautious of a line. Staying out then is the battle going on then between 3 drivers. One is Peter Berryman, one is Kevin Ellis Jr., one is Martin Piatella. Berryman's made a mistake. He's dropped 2 positions on this lap alone. Into the boxes they both go. Out should come first Mac Backham, and look at the pressure he's looking to apply. He is right there again. Here comes Gregor Hutu though. 1 lap fresher tyres. He's going to try and get the lunge, and he's not able to do it. Nice try.
That was a perfect pit stop by Matt Backham, and that there, Johnny, was the only way Matt Backham was going to stay ahead of Gregor Hutu. He had to put the pressure on Martin Kroenke. He did it, and he did it well. But now what we have is Kroenke, Backham, Hutu separated by 1 second on track.
And Backham looked awfully close to passing that white re-entry line. The pit exit line there, so oh god, that was close. He was definitely pushing to the limit, and the pit entry, as Jake said, that made the difference. Mac Backham practicing that to perfection. He's got a brake marker for pit entry and a brake marker for the final chicane. Now here's the difficult part. Will Hutu, number 1, be able to pass any of these 2? And if he doesn't, will he be able to keep the same pace as the 2 Coanda cars for the rest of this stint?
Yeah, there's a replay, by the way, of Peter Berryman. This is into the final chicane. Turns in. Oh, right over the overcut curve there. Scrapes of all the champions. Loses the position to Martin Piatella. Loses the position to Kevin Ellis Jr. Berryman then down into what is currently P number 3. But actually, he would have been in the race lead for a moment there, Jake.
He would have been, and Peter Berryman throwing an opportunity away, one that he could ill afford as he's now got Paul Ilbrink a lap down. They've just gone through. But these drivers here, Piatella, Ellis Jr., Peter Berryman, I think they're going a little bit further than many people would have predicted them to here, Will. I think they're going to be staying out as long as possible, trying to make maybe a very risky one-stop work, and maybe Piatella's role being in this pack is legitimately just to be in that pack, Will, just to cover off the Apex strategy.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, they can probably make it a one-stop strategy from about lap number 30, Johnny, because of course, the second stint, you're lighter on fuel, and you therefore have less weight in the car, and you can use less on the tyres. So lap number 30, I think, is a target window for these drivers to go back on board, and he's actually on towards pit road is Piatella. So Piatella has come in all by himself. That releases Kevin Ellis Jr., Peter Berryman. We've now got ourselves at Apex Racing UK 1-2 in this event.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 even, because look at Jamie Fluke now. Doesn't pit, so you have to look at team trends here. Apex Racing UK have always been different to the other teams in terms of strategy. They've always gone for the 3 stops most races, especially Jamie Fluke. And we're looking at a potential 1 stop here even. So you're right, up to about lap 29 even, I reckon. We're lap 28, lap 29, as early as that, you can make the 1 stop work. It's just whether or not these tires will hold up, because the 16.1 pace at the moment compared to the 15.7 and 15.5 of Kroenke and Backham, it's not that big of a difference. Apex cars looking good.
Fastest man on track, Kazuki Umeshima right now. He's closing down Gregor Hutu. And of course, this is the Kazuki Umeshima that almost shook the world a couple of years ago. He has gained almost a second over Gregor Hutu, a 5-time world champion, in the last 2 laps there, Jake.
Don't count out Suzuki Gun. He is within 4.5 seconds right now of that train of 3. If he gets onto that train, Kazuki can start fighting back. He didn't have the best opening stint, but on fresh rubber, maybe Kazuki Umeshima has that ability to go out there and do something. Kroenke's got Jamie Fluke just in front. This one full position, and Fluke's not going to yield this one, so they're going to bunch up a bit here through that final chicane. And now here comes the run for Martin Kroenke. Should he easily have the overspeed then on Jamie Fluke with the DRS in tow, down to the inside, and now it becomes a process of freight training, and this is disaster right now for Backham and for Hutu.
Yeah, but it's perfect for Martin Kroenke. Also, just to let you know, Antoine Higlin has got himself past Ilka Harpal. A replay of that one is coming up for you right about now, as Antoine Higlin then will have a look from him as he got himself past the driver Ilka Harpal. Does Ilka Harpal go off, or something happened to him? I'm not quite sure. Is this going to be a dive down at the hairpin? I think it's more likely to be a dive down at the hairpin for him. In fact, no, it's actually going to be down at the final. Oh, no, it is down at the hairpin. That's the 2 lines you were talking about earlier on, Johnny. And the 2 lines work perfectly there for the driver of Antoine Higlin.
Yeah, good stuff for Higlin. He's a driver who's very motivated by criticism, and today there's nothing to criticize, so hopefully he keeps remaining motivated. He looks like it, though. The young man, he's improved year after year. Jamie Fluke's down 2 positions, of course, as well. Or even 3 positions. Kroenke, Backham, Hutu, of course. We know the top 3 essential drivers have made their way past. But we talk about this, Will. This is so interesting. We know that Kroenke, Backham, Hutu, they're on that 2-stop. Ellis Jr. and Berryman here are definitely on a 1-stop. Now, what we have to look out for is Berryman, who hit the wall of champions. He seemed to have a damaged front wing. I could be wrong. It was damaged for a few laps anyway. We'll see if they need to repair that at the pit stop.
Kazuki Umeshima, Jake, is still closing. That gap is now down to less than 3 seconds. And yeah, he's got to get himself past Jamie Fluke. If he does that wrong, it's game over. But Umeshima right now is actually, I think, in prime position to really make a bit of an upset because of the fact that there's a lot going on track. And if Umeshima can get past Fluke, if he can get it timed perfectly, this could be Umeshima back into the hunt because he is only 3 seconds back and he's still closing. He will get DRS as well down the back straight because he's only 6 tenths of a second back. Will Apex help out Radicals here?
I wonder if, and it's the 2 British teams that want to work together, Alex Simpson and Rob Cuss. I wonder if they've had a bit of a conflab about this, because we saw how Jamie Fluke was very aggressive in the way he goes through, and we got ourselves onto pit row. Well, actually, an instant there for Peter Berryman as he goes off the circuit. So yeah, Johnny, you caught that one better than I did. But Umeshima unable to make the move on the high top speed. Jamie Fluke, what happened?
That one, well, I saw the Berryman incident, which was he just ran off at the final chicane and he just missed his brake marker. So, you know, typical incident. He already hit that second anti-cut chicane before and he resulted in some minor damage. So this time around, this race is not going to go well for Berryman anymore on that 1-stop. He's made too many mistakes. And it's only Kevin Ellis Jr. now who could be the hero on this 1-stop strategy. He needs to come in now, though. Right now, lap 30, there's no point waiting to 50% distance. The car is going to be lighter for the next 40 laps. He's done 30 laps on a lighter fuel load. he'll come in. He's actually coming onto my podcast tomorrow, so we'll ask him about that.
And Jamie Fluke's had an issue with he's actually got allowed Kazuki. I say allowed. He's Kazuki Umeshima has found a way past. Replay then on board with Fluke and Kazuki Umeshima. This is the run, and Umeshima, through all that, actually, though, he did lose 2 seconds. Oh, Fluke then had an issue into the chicane, and Umeshima tried to go around the high side, had to wait for it. He cost him 2 seconds there, Johnny.
Yep, so there you go. Lots of time lost. This is such a pivotal moment of the race as you negotiate yourself around traffic. Oh, goodness, it's such a skill to have as a driver, just to make your way around lap cars and around cars around you, cars on different strategies, all that kind of stuff.
Kevin Ellis Jr. leads from Peter Berryman, but neither of those two Apex Racing UK drivers have yet pitted. They have a combined time of 7 seconds over Martin Kroenke and Matt Backham, two VRS Commander Sim Sports drivers. Then you got yourselves, Gregor Houti for Team Redline, sponsored by Fnatic and P number 5. The Radicals Online car, sponsored by, Cranfield Simulations and also Stick Sideways. They are down in P number 6. Then you got yourselves another Apex Racing UK machine with Jamie Fluke in 7th and Marty Piatella rounds out your top 8 right now. Lap number 31 of 70 here. Live timing and scoring, of course, is available on Racesport TV. Visit racesport.tv/timing for that one. Ellis Jr. and Peter Berryman. Now, I've got a feeling one will come in early, one will come in a lap or two later. Yeah, well, there's going to be one on towards pit road. That is Ellis Jr. Is Peter Berryman going to come in as well? No, he'll stay out. I was right, Jake, for once.
You were, and I tell you what, if you look at Apex Racing UK right now, the one thing that comes to my mind is Graham Carroll, eat your heart out. Apex are challenging for victories here today, and they are right in this hunt. Ellis Jr. will have the tyre advantage for the next 20 laps or so. He will use that to build that gap, try and get as much as he can working before he then has to play the defensive drive, the same way that Jamie Fluke did in terms of the last couple of laps that we've seen. And I think that these Apex machines, they are really in the hunt for a big haul. Ellis Jr. comes out just behind Mitchell de Jong, so de Jong now has a job to do for Kroenke.
Yeah, normally that wouldn't be a big issue if you come out in front of slower traffic, shall we say, down in the pack, Johnny. But for Kevin Ellis Jr., this will actually help him because he's behind one of the fastest pure racers in the world as Peter Berryman comes on towards pit road. That gives the race lead back to Martin Kroenke.
It's not pit road.
It's not. He's just made a mistake. No. So you've been deceived by the timing screens. That's what's tricked you. It's actually Berryman hitting the wall there at the exit of the second chicane. He's just lost his rhythm after that first mistake. It's
cracked
so
under
hard
pressure.
As a driver. Yeah, it's under pressure, and it's just, and there he goes, finally into the pit lane.
So, a couple of years ago, we had a Radicals Online team trying to hold off some of the big guns, and they couldn't survive. This year, Peter Berryman cracks under pressure, and he can't hold on as he hits down at the second chicane, loses 2, 3, 4 positions now as he comes on towards pit road. That means that Martin Kroenke once again leads this motor race, and he leads it by a second almost over Matt Backham. I say a second almost because, of course, a second in this style of racing is so important. It's 0.999 right now here, Johnny, but that still means that Matt Backham would get DRS if they stay the same into the DRS activation point. And the key thing will now be what happened on the exit of this second chicane. Martin Kroenke is not going to get into 1 second.
No, he's not. Ilbrink gets out of the way too, and here they go into the hairpin. Kroenke, sweet and spot on. Backham has just a slight moment there as he applies the throttle with his right foot. You really need to control that with the diff, the rear anti-roll bar as well, trying to get as much traction with the weight distribution to the rear end. But there's Backham, as you said, DRS open through the final chicane, traverses his way through that jungle quite nicely, and again DRS across this second main straight. So Backham here closing in about was it 7/10 gap across the line?
Yeah, Jamie Fluke almost runs into the rear of Marty Piatella. I was about to ask when diabetes had kicked in there, Jake, or whether or not Jamie Fluke hadn't pitted. He hadn't pitted. He is on towards pit road now. He is, I think, the one driver who is clearly on a one-stopper here today.
Yeah, he is in on lap 34, so he is able to go further than anybody else has. So Jamie Fluke on the lane. I think he's going to have the biggest advantage of anybody else. He's behind Ollie Packler, though, when he will come out. He'll be behind Josh Rogers when he comes out of pit road. He should be ahead of Yao Vaz as we use the IndyCar-style pit exit, and he gets out in front of Yao Vaz. So clean air for Jamie Fluke now, and he can charge against the man who currently holds the fastest lap of the event.
Yeah, it's been a long while, by the way. We talk about comparisons between Formula One and IndyCar. I think it was back in 2001, either 99 or 2001, where both the IndyCar series and the kart series ran at this track in the same year, so you have a direct comparison. Now, the kart cars back then were heavier, and of course they're designed for ovals compared to road courses, and they're about 4 or 5 seconds a lap slower than a Formula One car. I do a segue here, Johnny, because of course the Porsche 919 that is now available on iRacing as Gregor Hutu gets a very tight line on the exit or turn number 2 on the run down towards turn number 3. Can he do anything? No, he can't. But the Porsche 919, of course, that's here on iRacing, is trying to make itself the fastest car in the world ever. It's just blitzed the lap record at Spa.
Yeah. Was that the... was there a sort of trick to that? Was it the F1 lap record? Was it another record?
It's the entire world ride lap record. They are aiming for the Nordschleife lap record. Of course, they're going to have to raise that car up quite a bit to deal with things like Das Carousel, of course. But they retired from LMP1. But what they're trying to do now is prove the fact that LMP1 can be the fastest car in the world.
Yeah, and hopefully we get that. You know that car that Adrian Newey designed, that concept car?
Wow, yes.
The crazy one. If that ever existed, see if there's a driver fit enough to actually pilot that machine.
Here comes Hutu.
Going for P2. Where's he going to go? Goes for the outside. That's not going to work here at the final chicane. And he has to slot back in. It's never going to work there. With an F1 car, you just brake deeper, hold the racing line, and force Hutu for a wider turn-in and a slower turn-in. So you want to have that inside line for the overtake.
If you want to get social with us, you can. /RaceWhatTV on Facebook, @RaceWhatTV on Twitter. If you like us, don't forget also, if you're an iRacing member, you can now add our logo to your car on the iRacing paint shop. And as you know, Jake, that'll make your car 2 turns per second faster.
It certainly will. I think a lot of people will want RaceSpot logos on their vehicle, most notably Gregor Hutu as he tries to get past Mac Backham. And I tell you what, Will, I think Gregor Hutu's being a bit too aggressive here. He's had previous history with Mac Backham. Talk Indianapolis, talk Suzuka at the back end of last season. This is Gregor Hutu against Mac Backham, and let's not forget that Hutu's already had 3 contacts in 3 races with Mitchell de Jong, let's not forget. Gregor Hutu's got to go out there and make a clean and decisive move on Mac Backham, who is now being the pick to allow Kroenke and maybe a little bit of modicum of space.
Gaps up to 1.6 seconds in that battle for the race lead. One thing here that I never thought I'd ask the question here, Johnny. If Gregor Hutu makes a half move and he loses it and causes contact, will he gain the ERC or the shield? Could Gregor Hutu get a penalty? I think it will be the first time ever for him in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series.
Is that true? He's never had a penalty.
I don't think he has. I mean, maybe back in 2011, not at least in the last 5 years that I've commentated.
Yeah, well, I don't know how to comment on that. I mean, yeah. I don't know what to say. People always talk about his politics, or he's got 5 world championships, it makes it easier. You know, the stewards don't really, care, to be honest. They just make a decision. They say, you're wrong, you get the penalty. Last round, though, as we know, between Hutu and de Jong, no sanction between the two of them. That was a racing incident.
Yeah, as we called it here on the broadcast, Marcus Jensen versus Peter Berryman. Well, Berryman, again, in some ways here today, Jake, has ruined his own motor race. And Apex and Radicals here today, they've both been teams that started off with a lot of promise, but have kind of ruined their own motor races. For Radicals, it kind of self-imploded almost in the first 3 laps for them. For Apex Racing UK, it was when they got the race lead, they had 2 drivers having incidents in the space of 4 laps, really, that took it away from them. And now, Marcus Jensen in that Burst Esports car looking to get into P number 9.
Yeah, looking to get past the driver then of Peter Berryman. He's close, but I don't think close enough. Berryman, though, has the fresher rubber on his vehicle compared to Jensen. 0.6 of a second slower that last time by. I think Peter Berryman's going to run for the hills and try and get to Mitchell de Jong as quickly as possible. So Keep that in mind as Kevin Ellis Jr. now looks to try and get onto the back of Antoine Higeland. 16-3 against a 15-8. That is exactly the same times as the leaders are doing right now. So Ellis Jr. is keeping himself in the wheelhouse at the moment here, Will, by running some very respectable lap times. He should be ahead. He should, at this stage, being 18 seconds back, have about maybe a 3 to 5 second lead when the leaders pit for their second stop.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting about those second stops and when they actually arrive and the lap that they actually do that on, Johnny, is going to be so important because, yes, tie deck isn't as high as what we expected it to be. It's not as high as Phillip Island, but you wait 2 laps, you lose 2 seconds. It's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, just to look at some references, Kevin Ellis Jr. last lap around a 15.8, so he's lapping around the same pace as Kroenke in the lead.
Another incident,
one stop.
and that's Antoine Higeland going wide.
So where did he go wide? That was at the hairpin, and someone's gone past him too.
Kevin Ellis Jr. team orders.
Yeah. Are you calling that team orders there, Jake?
I'm calling that team orders, Will. I think they know that Kevin Ellis Jr. is the quickest driver, and they know they need to get it through. Do it in a way that's not legitimate. Do it in a way that's not going to get the stewards caught up.
Well, of course, we remember the biggest one was Ollie Pakala down at Suzuka a couple of years ago. It did look as though that Antoine Higeland did overshoot the corner legitimately there. We're going to have a replay on board of him. And I'm not here to start a controversy because this has been a great race so far. Let's go on board then with the driver of Antoine Higeland. And we can actually see it. Let's listen in. That was a slow down shift. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you for once there, Jake. That was a slow down shift.
Thank you.
Johnny, any thoughts?
No, when you say team orders, it's more like driver orders. I know what you're saying there, though, because they're from the same team. But like the Pakala one at Suzuka, that was just Pakala being smart, saying, okay, you know, I'm not really, I don't need this podium. Go, Gregor, go get the points. You can go get the championship. Anton Higeland, again, that's a smart decision. Get out of the way. Let your teammate go in front. These are guys that are buddies. These are guys that test together for 2 weeks. They're not guys that are in competitive mode and need to beat each other. And there's no, it's not like Alex Simpson's on TeamSpeak going, hey, get out of the way or you're fired or anything like that. He's not like that. These drivers decide most of these decisions by themselves. Most of them are in the same channel and they're on the same channels communicating with each other. So I could be wrong with that, but that's from my experience, that's the way it works.
Backham is still holding off Gregor Hootie here. We are 40 laps into 70 in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. We're going to take your Racebot TV side by side for a couple of moments. We'll be back with second round of pit stops after this.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. Oh, oh. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero. With fearless thoughts, emotions swirl. I wanna be the man that saves the world. So start ignition.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. We want to go back a little bit if we can, because Basis Gergis and Joshua Roberts are both out now of this event. We can't, unfortunately, get a replay of either of them, but Josh Rogers and Gergis are both out of this one as we speak here, Jake.
Yeah, two separate incidents between the pair of them. I didn't get a chance to see what was going on between the pair of them, but it's a shame to see Rogers out after he was pushing so hard. I assume Gergis was in a similar position as well. He was in the middle of the pack scrapping, so that much you can definitely say is a major shame. And I think that a lot can go on. Higeland, though, side by side. Mitchell de Jong wants to go through. He then angles himself to the inside. Higeland knows that he's maybe slower. He takes that wider track. There's the DRS. There's the slipstream. Down to the inside. Mitchell de Jong. And that is the overtake.
Yeah, he did, but he also tried the overtake down at the hairpin, Jake. And he actually lost out because he overshot the corner. We've seen a number of drivers overshooting the corners. Some drivers here are making their second pit stops. Daniel Bieder has to make a second scheduled stop here. Some drivers will be due in for their second stop soon. Here's the situation of Martin Kroenke. He's leading by 1.6 right now, but because it's a short track, traffic's a big part. New change to the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Blue flag rules are now informational only.
And that tells you so much, because it means that someone like Ricardo Orozco, for example, someone like Dion Vergers, they have no obligation to get out of the way. So someone like Martin Kroenke understands what he needs to do. He's just got to keep picking off traffic one lap at a time. Matt Backham exactly the same to stave off Gregor Hutu in third position. They will all stay out then for another lap. So they're going to keep themselves all going forward. I think they are looking pretty nice on their lap times right now. Kevin Ellis Jr., though, for example, he's still running those times similar to quicker. And I'll tell you something else that's interesting. Piatella's closing in on Umashima.
Yes, and let's talk about Umashima, because we haven't talked about him for a while here, Johnny. Yes, I'd say faded into fourth place, but even fourth place for Radicals Online this season is a fantastic accomplishment by them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now, the fact that he's all the way up there, I was thinking, I didn't expect him to be in the top 5 at this stage of the race, so he's definitely exceeded my expectations there. He's done a Romain Grosjean and exceeded any expectations I had of him. But we're also hearing word on that note, Marcus Jensen could be out of this race, so technical issues for the Burst Esport driver.
Yeah,
That's a pit stop.
Yeah, it's a pit stop. He's still going as we think right now. We'll keep an eye out on that one, though, because he's pit stop. Yeah, he actually has had a pit stop. And he's 14th place right now, 15th place, and he is back on track. But I think that might have been a bit of a technical issue there for Marcus Jensen. We'll get an update soon. It's Corona 1-2 here in this event as it stands right now. Martin Kroenke versus Matt Backham, and they are trading lap time between P number 2 and P number 3. Well, Hutu is closing, but not by much, because he closed last lap, but lost 4 tenths of a second at last time by. And the thing is, when you see a VOS kind of sim sports driver coming through, you don't know whether it's not the race leader or not. When you see Team Redline. I've only commentated for 5 years about this one there, Johnny. When you see a Team Redline driver coming through, you know they're not the race leader. You're not going to give them as much room necessarily.
No. I mean, the thing is, it's frustrating, though, when you're a leader. Because right now, Hutu's trying to get past Backham. There's all these little cones and roadblocks in the way. Orozco gets out of the way nicely there. That's the way to do it, kids. If you're watching Ricardo Orozco, Dion Vergis, more than experienced, should get out of the way here at the hairpin, or maybe the exit. He doesn't want to lose too much time either, because Vergis could, well, he's going to break away from Ricardo Orozco. So, look, it's just annoying. I don't want to start on lap cars. Get out of the way. That's all I care. Blue flags. Is that what Vettel says? Blue flags. He sings it.
You see, I actually disagree, because, of course, in the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series, and also the Verizon IndyCar Series, the real-life Verizon IndyCar Series, blue flags are more informational. So, yes, there are points when you have to work through lap traffic, and actually I think that to be a fully accomplished racing driver, you have to understand, Jake, the nature of lap traffic and how to overtake them. And some cars, of course, are only set up to work in their own territory. When they get towards lap traffic, sometimes they struggle. As now here we'll see Backham, he's going to go and do a very aggressive move there over the lap traffic, and Hutu, as a consequence of the lap traffic having to slow down and move out of the way a little bit, can slide through as well. That actually cost Backham a little bit.
It did, and Dion Verges, Ricardo Orozco, they have the right to fight. So does Yao Vaz as well, who I believe has just come out of pit road. So they're all entitled to have this battle and fight, even though it is right in front of Hutu and Backham, because they are fighting for position. So Backham right now, yes, he's lost a lot of time being stuck behind that. He had to make the aggressive move. Martin Kroenke may be getting a little bit of a gap to break away. It's now about when do you make that stop. I would have wondered maybe it would have been worth Gregor Hutu diving in, maybe Matt Backham diving in, forcing an aggressive undercut, because we've already seen Martin Piatella come down onto the lane as well. And guess what? Matt Backham's going for the undercut. He's going to force the hand of both Hutu and the driver of Martin Kroenke.
And he was the fastest driver on pit road that last time by, so you never know. I mean, yeah, it's 1.9 seconds he had to gain there, Johnny, over Martin Kroenke. But if Backham can nail this and Kroenke does not come on towards pit road next time by, we could be looking at a third different Koanda SimSport driver winning a race in 2018.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very exciting. The important thing here is to look at the lane time for Backham, because who knows if the pit stop was short, if he was too cautious braking. Very, very fast, though.
31.5 lane-to-lane time. 3.8 second stop there, Jake. That is a statement again by Matt Backham. 2 pit stops in a row. He has been absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, I think he's been exceptional. I think he's been fantastic, but you all forget about Kevin Ellis on the one stop. He's got the gap that he wants. Umashima came in as well, and right now I put that gap at about 8 seconds. 8 seconds to close down Kevin Ellis Jr.? Good luck, sir. Very good luck at the pace that he's been going at.
Yeah, but don't forget, Ellis Jr.'s tyres are going to fade away on a track like this. Let's not forget Jenson Button. As here comes Kroenke on towards pit road then. He is going to come in, and he's going to respond immediately, and I think also Hutu is going to not do the same. He'll stay out. Well, that's pretty much guaranteed second place, in my opinion, to Matt Backham, as Kroenke now on a pit road as it stands. And let's have a look at the pit stop time then for Martin Kroenke. A clean pit road for him. No one who really needs to work with too much. Comes in onto the jacks. Up and down 4.1. 32.1. And well, Backham's actually going to be very close here, but not quite close enough. Yeah. Martin Kroenke will keep the race lead. Peter Berryman will stay in between them. And I think that Berryman might have actually cost there Backham a shot at going for the race victory there, Johnny.
Yeah, he was in the way, but not by too much.
No.
So only by a touch there. But I think just that exit, it really deceives you, doesn't it, Will? You think that, oh, look, Backham's going to get close here. But then Kroenke has the momentum to spring his way past turn number 2. Berryman actually lets Matt Backham past here. Berryman doesn't even fight for a position. That is not a lapped car getting in the way. That is Berryman saying, just go for it, mate.
Last pit stop time was 3.9 for Hutu. He's on towards pit road again. And he now knows. He slows that down too much there, Jake. He slows it down way too much.
And he needed to, because he was almost going to run over the curb. He was running so aggressively. So Gregor Hutu now running himself into issues. But the reason why he's gone longer, Will, is he wants the freshest tyres at the end. He wants to go and attack Matt Backham. He wants to go and attack Martin Kroenke when it gets down to the bread and butter laps, when it comes down to the very nitty gritty in the lane, looking to go up, looking to go down, looking to get going once again. Through goes Matt Backham, through goes Martin Kroenke. Here comes Gregor Hutu. And he's got a lot of work to do when it comes to this stint. He's got to get past Berryman as well. Oh,
so Berryman now, is he going to be as nice to Gregor Hutu as he was as Martin Piatella sets the fastest lap of the day, 1:15.058. Will Hutu get the same kind of advantage as Matt Backham got then from Peter Berryman? Will Berryman move out the way? We'll find out in a moment's time. This will be the first opportunity. If he doesn't do it here, it'll be down on the back straight away as the Erz will then recover for the driver of Peter Berryman, and now Hutu is losing time behind Peter Berryman on the exit of the second chicane underneath the Dart Bridge down towards the hairpin. Is Hutu going to be aggressive? No, he's not. But who is that ahead of him? Is that the driver of That's Olli Pakala. Olli Pakala there completely confuses the entire field. So Redline actually hurts Redline there. Oh my word, what a race this has been today. Hutu is past, but Olli Pakala has a huge moment then down at the hairpin. confusing everyone. You can't really call that one any form of team orders there, Johnny. You can, because he does slow down very early. You slow down so far early that you can't actually make the corner.
Well, I don't know about that, but the fact that Ollie Packler's in P21 is more amazing to me. He's normally a driver. He's a former... Normally drivers should be at the front. He's a former race winner in this series. We always say that, but I don't know what's happened this round. Probably a lack of practice. Definitely hasn't lost any talent for sure, so something's up for him. But Hutu now on the attack. He's got fresher rubber compared to the two Coanda Simsport cars. They have to dispose of Kevin Ellis Jr., though, who is on that one stop. And I don't think Kevin Ellis Jr. is going to sustain the lead much longer, although he's in for a decent result, I'd say, at this stage. 20
laps you'll have to do out of the line then to hold on to this race victory. He's done 18 laps in the stint so far. Last time by 116.108. Compare that to Martin Cronket's 115.252. And all of a sudden, that 4.1 second advantage as Ellis Jr. works himself. He still seems stable. That's the thing there, Jake. That car does not seem as if it's running on old tyres yet.
It's not the fact it doesn't seem like it's running on old tyres, it's the fact that Cronke is pushing like a man possessed at a rate that I don't think I've ever seen it. They've got so far into that second stint that this final stint is about use all the tyres, use all the fuel. Gregor Hutu's just done a 14.8.
Wow.
Gregor Hutu, a half a second quicker than Matt Backham, brings the gap down to 1.2. I think Gregor Hutu's in this one, and I think he's in this one for a fight. And Kevin Ellis Jr., at the rate he's losing time, Will, this is all going to join together at the worst possible moment for the Coanda boys.
Best lap of the day then for Gregor Hutu in that number 66 team Redline machine. Live timing and scoring, by the way, is available. Visit racesport.tv/timing. And the thing is here, Johnny, at this stage in the motor race, Hutu is only 6 seconds behind your race leader, and there's 20 laps to go. This is a Canadian showdown that we know and love. And the thing is, Ellis Jr.'s got to hold on, but also Cronke and Backham have both got to drive in their means, not push too hard.
No, definitely not. This is Ellis Jr.'s... I don't want to say it's his race to lose right now, because this one stop is probably not going to sustain much longer, but God, it's close, isn't it? 19 or 18 laps to go, however many laps to go here. 52 of 70 we're on. And 2.8 seconds, I just don't think he's going to hold on. He was 1.1 seconds slower than Cronke last lap around, so he's definitely not going to hold on, but it's just where he's going to finish. But as you say, no mistakes for the Coanda drivers, and they should be able to hold this P1-2 position. Hutu, though, as we said, he's got the confidence in that Redline car.
And could you imagine, Jake, if it is Apex Racing UK who beat the VRS Coanda Simsport streak? And I will say one thing as well. Alex Simpson, if you're listening, get over here. We want to talk to you now.
Yeah, definitely, but it's such a tall order for Kevin Ellis Jr. because he's on, what, a second of a lap slower tyres. You've got DRS, which is very effective at this circuit, and that gap coming down within 2 seconds at the end of this lap. Kevin Ellis Jr., I'm not sure this is going to be for the victory.
Yes.
Top 4? Yes. Top 5? Yes. It's going to be probably for Ellis Jr., around Umashima and Piatella, but I think this has been a fantastic drive from Kevin Ellis Jr. It was outside of the box from Apex. It's been fantastic, but right now the Cronke gauntlet is being thrown down. Gap across the line, Will, 2.2.
And this is the thing about the fantastic thing about the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series of 2018 here, Jake, as well. The fact that you can do different strategies, and the likes of Apex, Radicals, the likes of Orion Race Teams, Burst Esports, and if they do come back, the Fernando Alonso team, FAG2 Racing, they can go outside the box. And actually, this is a track that I would have loved to have seen FAG2 Racing take part in.
Let's not forget in the Pro Series that Rasmussen and Job were 1-2 and made contact on the final lap. They would have had pace here. I think it's a disastrous decision for them because this would have been one of their better races, as the likes of Spa-Francorchamps would be as well. Yeah. They suit those really quick circuits. Now, though, you don't talk about them. They're not in the picture. It's not about them. Ellis Jr. being caught by Cronke. Hutu's within a second of Mac Backham. Let's get the fireworks out, shall we? This is a party.
Yeah, Dion Verges, by the way, just losing a position further down in your field. That is to Stephen Michaels in the number 15 machine. We don't ever give enough love to Stephen Michaels, So we're going to do so right now. We're going to try and replay that one in the UO1 Positive Sim Racing Machine car. And let's see if we can get a replay of this one. On board is Stephen Michaels. That is him versus the driver of... Well, it's all changed, but let's have a look anyway. On board a number 50 car. Goes down to the inside, the Orion race team, number 90. Position done over Dion Vergers. As actually then Dion Vergers loses more positions as a consequence of that. And Vergers actually had a very bad lap there as he loses 1, 2, 3 positions in the space of a couple of sequence of corners there, Johnny.
Yeah, that can happen at this circuit. You can really lose your rhythm through the corners. We saw it happen in the early laps to De Jong, of course, as well. You know, Oscar and was involved in a collision. Of course, Joshua Rogers too. Right now, though, look at Kroenke. There's a car in front of Ellis Jr., isn't there? That's Mo Garfilio. Get out of the way, please. He does. Oh, man, they got close, didn't they, on the exit there? I got a little bit too excited. I thought they didn't see each other. But Kroenke won't be able to make the move here. It could be possible into the first corner because Ellis Jr. is going to have no drive out of the final chicane.
You say that, but now it's about defensive driving. And if you know your way around this racetrack, you can be impressive. We have actually now got Alex Simpson here from Apex Racing UK. And well, Alex, you have had a 1-2-3 at some point in this race here today. You got a driver leading this event, looking for a podium on a one-stop strategy. Talk us through your emotions.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a dead in the team about this morning. Stoked. I've tuned in halfway through. I'm working at the moment, so yeah, got a big fat grin on my face, just cheering the guys on at the minute.
So, Ellis Jr., he's right behind, or so right ahead even of Martin Kroenke. It looks like he might struggle. In fact, he's going to lose the race lead because here comes Kroenke. He's down to the inside. Martin Kroenke, new race lead in this motor race. But is there still a podium in shots here, do you think, for Ellis Jr.?
Well, fingers crossed for Kevin's best performance. Yeah, stoked for him as well. So, looking at the chat this morning, he was quite confident, did a little run and everything. The times looked really, really good. So, yeah, just, fingers crossed. Come on, boy.
Well, thank you very much, Alex Simpson from Apex Racing UK. But Martin Kroenke now leads this motor race, and that's the difference between a 1 and a 2-stop strategy. We're going to call that one here today, Jake.
Yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr. let him through. He knew he wasn't going to fight him. He was too far out to fight him. He let him through because he was the quicker driver, and that's a shame because now that means that Hutu has to do something now about Matt Backham and then has to do something about Martin Kroenke, who's 2 seconds down the road. So once again, Gregor Hutu becoming the nearly man at the moment here of sim racing. Always close, never quite getting the cigar. Now it's about Hutu. I've got to get past Matt Backham. There's no ifs, there's no buts. There's no and, it's a must.
Do you think, Jake, that maybe it's an anti-yellow helmet on the number 66 Team Redline car of Gregor Hutu? Of course, many people used to say when the Ayrton Senna helmet came in your rearview mirror, you moved out the way. Maybe, do you think it's the opposite now for Gregor Hutu, having won 5 World Championships?
Well, he's a 5-time champion, Will. If you want to prove yourself against the best, you fight tooth and nail against the best. So that's what you have to deal with. That's what you've got to work with. And that's the issue that they're going to have. Backham now right in the wheelhouse for Kevin Ellis Jr. Knows that he's got this ability to attack, to push, to motivate himself. Oh dear, dreaded M word. Someone's getting angry. But Matt Backham right now, within a couple of tenths of a second, unable to make it into the first chicane. Traffic in front as well. That's the drivers of Dion Vergers. That's the drivers as well looking to push forward, and Ellis Jr. lets the pair of them through because he's not in the podium fight. So through goes Backham, through goes Hutu. Hutu's got no help, he's got to do it on his own.
I'm going to say one thing right here. There's been many things said about Apex Racing UK over the years, both positive and negative, but Johnny, that's going to be one of the most positive things I'll ever say about Apex Racing UK. Kevin Ellis Jr., yes, he's not racing for positions here. He knows he's in a one-stop strategy, but he didn't hold anyone up there. He knew the fact his car is slower, and yes, people that say race, block, defend. He didn't need to defend because actually 2 drivers inside the top 5 potentially right now for Apex Racing UK. That is a fantastic result by them.
They've lost Sebastian Job, they've lost Marcus Jensen, and they've lost Graham Carroll, and yet they're still just able to sustain these results. The culture of that team is phenomenal. It's a team culture. You want to come into sim racing as a rookie and learn and thrive in a fun environment with a young core of drivers, with a team manager who's so passionate for sim racing. But here's Gregor Hutu now around the outside. That line's not going to work because Backham again closes the inside. So Hutu has to do something bold. It's going to have to be up the inside, possibly at the final chicane, or he has to just hold his line and make it here at turn number 1.
Yeah, Hutu tried that outside line down into the hairpin. It worked well for him, to be honest, because now he's got himself Matt Backham right behind him with DRS, ERS engaged for him. But he gains a lot of speed. In fact, that Team Redline car has a ton of speed on top of it. But Matt Backham, he's a defensive driver, and he took the defensive line early, and Hutu almost lost it then as he came out, as also Jamie Fluke there lose the position to Mitchell de Jong, and that's just happened live. So I'm going to take you back another 20 seconds and show you what just happened for Jamie Fluke, and that is in the number 49 machine on the exit of the final chicane. Slower run, Mitchell de Jong back into P number 9, Jake.
Yeah, and Mitchell de Jong comfortably making that move, so Jamie Fluke's one stop, not really working the way that he wants to. Always going to be losing positions at the end. We also got this battle, Berryman versus Umashima. Umashima looking down to the inside, unable to really make something happen. A little bit of traffic ahead of them. That's the driver, David Williams, in the 27. He can play a role here because Matti Piatella is closing in at a rate of 0.7 of a second a lap on the pair of these drivers. So Umashima has to get through now the traffic, has to try and think about making this move on the brakes into the right left. And Kazuki Gun, suddenly, there's a bit of a misfire. Someone's jammed the pistol.
Yeah, so Umashima then loses a little bit of time as he's currently down in P number 6. Oh, Kevin Ellis Jr. has almost had a moment there, I think, down in second chicane. He's had some technical issues, and that could put Kevin Ellis Jr. out of the motor race. He's still going. He's still going. It's all okay. We'll come back to this one if we need to. Currently, it's Kroenke who's leading from Matt Backham. The gap between though Kroenke and Backham up to 2.8 seconds, and that was there. Kroenke getting the clean run through traffic, the clean run over Kevin Ellis Jr. earlier on, Johnny.
Yeah, that's just I'm just getting distracted now whether Kevin Ellis Jr. is actually going to stay in this race due to the technical issues, but we'll see. Anyway, he's back in it again. Oh, it's just holding on by a touch, isn't he? And so, right now, this is sim racing, isn't it, Will? This is virtual racing.
Here comes Hutu.
We tried to hide this years ago. Didn't work. Here's Hutu, though, around the outside. Not going to work. I just told you already. Backham's going to brake late and hold the racing line. If he's going to hold the racing line, it's going to have to be here at turn number 1. Hutu a bit too far behind to lunge.
Yeah, we're going to bring in our social media expert, Connery Maddock, for this event. And Connery, what's been going on social media today?
Well, we had a little bit of a lull in the race, but now we have the gloves are off completely for P number 2. It's going to be Mac Backham versus Gregor Hutu, and Mac Backham has been running these absolutely excellent defensive lines through the corner. Nothing really that Hutu can do, despite all of his years of experience. If you're driving as defensively as Mac Backham is right now, it's going to be very difficult to get past.
Yeah, the gap is currently 2 tenths per second. We'll go on board of Hutu once again for the second chicane. Hashtag 5-time world champion Gregor Hutu versus Mac Backham, who is desperately seeking a race victory, but a podium might well do him here today. Hutu takes a different line then, again through the hairpin, but I think there, Jake, what I just saw, Backham is now taking the outside line, which is just a mess with Gregor Hutu's head.
I think he has to here, and here goes defensive, late move there from Mac Backham, covers the move down to the inside. He gets himself the defense perfectly, but now it's going to be about, I've got to hold this off here. Gregor Hutu trying to think about this run, look late for the inside, big late lunge down to the inside, room given, little bit off the circuit there from Mac Backham, holds it together. Hutu, no chance, but gets a good run here out of 2. Here's the shot for 3, but I don't think he's got the drive. He thinks about the inside, has to go the long way around, can't do it. Gregor Hutu's looking, but he's searching. He's not finding, though, Will. This is vital.
This is fantastic racing with less than 10 laps to go now in this motor racing. Well, Johnny, this is Gregor Hutu. I mean, if there's ever been a weakness about Gregor Hutu, some people said his ability to overtake the fastest drivers in the world. But now Hutu's got the chance to make that a statement point. He did it at Phillip Island. You can have a chance to really cement that here today at Montreal.
It definitely does. Right now, this is actually
Whoa,
costing...
Kroenke! Sorry, technical issues for Martin Kroenke. He's out of the motor race, and Matt Backham is leading, and now it's Backham versus Hutu for the race lead. Oh my word, what has happened to Martin Kroenke? Was it a crash? Was it an incident? Technical issues for Martin Kroenke. Backham leads this motor race, and now Backham, this is Umashima versus Hutu once again, just for Backham ahead of Hutu. Business has just picked up here, Johnny.
Yeah, this could be Mac Backham's first career win if he holds it together, and I was about to say, this is gifting Kroenke a victory, and just as I said that, the curse came in. Kroenke, technical issues. He's out of the race for sure, of course. Right now, it's confirmed. Ellis Jr. in a podium position. He's got 3 seconds to sustain that ahead of Umashima. He's got a mad pack of Berryman and Piatella behind. Now, we've got battles throughout your order.
This could be Matt Backham winning his first ever iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series race. And Jake, in my head, I now have 1995 Formula One Grand Prix at Montreal, because it was a place that Jean Alesi won his first ever race. But now Hutu's got a chance to break the Coanda streak, and I know he's going to be so hungry as they come down the back straightaway. This now is going to be a case of timing for Gregor Hutu. He knows that he's got the chance to get the race victory. He just needs to make sure he times it perfectly.
He's got to make sure he times it perfectly. He's tried to be too aggressive into that first chicane. He knows he can't do it. His only chance is really that second chicane, where we've seen Mac Backham look a little bit flaky when it comes to the defense. He's close, but now he's got to bide his time. Hutu's now got to start playing chess. How do I work my opponent into the position I want him to be into? And I wonder if Hutu tries to attack in a place that maybe Mac Backham is not expecting here. This is a massive, massive scrap between them. Let's not forget the podium still on, I do believe, because you've got the likes of, I believe, Kazuki Umashima versus Kevin Ellis Jr., and don't tell me Ellis Jr.'s gone as well.
Ellis Jr.'s had some issues. No, I know he's still going. We've still got the battle for the race team. We've still got the battle for Martin Piatella versus Peter Berryman as well. That's going on for P number 5 on track right now. We're going to ride a lap on board with Martin Piatella again. Mr. Dependable, number 96, VRS Coanda Sim Sports.
I don't know what we've just seen. We have just seen a very, very bold move end in almost catastrophe. Berryman didn't really deserve it. Piatella was maybe a bit frustrated, and the incident comes along. That, my friend, is what happens when things start to get at its worst. Massive, massive incident for the top 5, and this is only going to allow Mitchell de Jong an opportunity to close in and gain vital championship points.
Yeah, of course. So Hutu needs those extra points for the race win, as we know. 100 points for the race win, 80 for P2. So there's extra 20 points. It's critical right now for Hutu. But more importantly, I seriously think that it's not the points that matter. It's really the race win, because Hutu hasn't won in over a year, as we know. right now, though, it's slimming down lap after lap. I'm not sure if Gregor really has it in him anymore. Has he maybe saved too much fuel from all the DRS he's been using? Has he lost the grip in the tires? Could be a combination of factors. He loses it again at the hairpin, and now he could fall out of the 1 second range even.
Yeah, he will just about keep in it, I think, there. That's 0.2 of a second lost by Gregor Hutu. Apologies for the audio issues there. It's a good job because you didn't want to hear me scream when we saw that incident a moment ago. But Hutu, that's an interesting because he was 2 laps longer on his previous stint, so he's got 2 lap fresher tyres here, Jake. I think this is mind games right now by Gregor Hutu, knowing the fact if he can keep those tyres going on, he can have 1 stab and 1 stab only at Matt Backham. But for Matt Backham, could you imagine Matt Backham finally winning an iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series event? This will be huge, not only for Command Sim Sports, but for the journey of Matt Backham from a driver that many people said was too aggressive, too harsh in battle, to a driver that joined Command Sim Sports. Of course, he had issues at one point with Hugo Luis. He's had some issues over the years, but this is a transformation by him.
And how apt is it that it's the driver who he battled with for the most of the back end of 2017, Gregor Hutu, that he is scrapping this one out with. Hutu, who is synonymous with stealing the dreams here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Mac Backham knows that he's just got to hold on. It's 4 to go at the line. 4 more laps, 16, 17 more kilometers worth of racing. And right now, Gregor Hutu knows only one thing. I've just got to make one move. But Matt Backham is the toughest defender of positions in all of sim racing at the moment. Try getting past him. This is an iron wall, and this is going to be a tough scale for Gregor Hutu.
Mitchell de Jong versus Peter Berriman for P number 5, and here comes de Jong. He's got the position. It's done, and it's easy for him. Coanda up into P number 5. Give you an update, by the way. We have got Martin Kroenke back on track after his technical difficulties, but he is all the way down in P number 20. That's important, though, Johnny, because he needs every point he can get. Because if he has a crash, then this will come back to be maybe the difference between him winning his 3rd championship in a row and losing it.
Yeah, those extra few points matter. You'll get about 4 or 6 extra points just by coming back onto the field and maybe overtaking a couple more drivers on this last lap, because what happened was he had the technical issues. He's allowed to rejoin, and he rejoined instantly, and he lost a lap compared to everybody else. So now he's racing with all those lapped cars, and yeah, he's got a chance. He goes past Dion Vergis now, and now he gets an extra 2 points to his name. So
you think they think they lap traffic?
Say it again.
Do you think they think he's? Do you think that he's still a leader and they're moving out of the way like lap traffic?
Maybe. Well, even better, look at Hutu. Oh, goodness. He's going to take off the racetrack. That's it.
Almost is that it? Because here's a replay. Let's get one more look then. That one, we caught the back end of it. The gap is now 2 seconds. That could be it for Gregor Hutu. And here's the replay. War of the Champion strikes again. A couple of years ago, it was Kazuki Umeshima. This time by...
Slow down, Will.
It's a slowdown penalty. He had a touch there with Matt Backham. And this is shades almost of Phillip Island a couple of weeks ago here, Jake, because there was contact between Hutu and Matt Backham. Could this be the 2nd race in a row that Hutu loses a World Championship event because of contact? Backham squeezed him, and that's what forced a slowdown penalty.
Well, they've had these moves already, Will. I can't blame Mac Backham for this, because he was defending his line, and let's be fair, he made his apex, he made that fine. It was Hutu trying to get a little bit too snug there with Mac Backham, trying to hold it too wide, trying to force the too wide, and Gregor Hutu, that little bit of contact, pushing him out wide, over the curb, had nowhere really to go, had to commit to a slowdown penalty. It's cost him the race, yes, but is that Mac Backham's fault? I don't think so.
Well, here's a replay on board of Matt Backham. Ultra close there, Johnny.
I'm not going to tell a 5-time world champion how to drive because he's better than me, but I just don't know why he didn't just brake earlier into that chicane rather than later. Just brake earlier and just take a line normal and then just go for the overtake on the main straight. But look, hey, we all have differing views on it, and Hutu's opted for that type of attempt. Didn't work out for him. Now, this race isn't over. We don't want to call it over at the moment with a couple of laps to go, because who knows if Backham starts to butcher it and choke under pressure. But right now, I'll tell you the emotions for Mac Backham. He's had 2 career podiums, a 3rd at Suzuka last year, 2nd at Circuit of the Americas. He will cross the line if he wins this race, and a big fat smile will cover his face, and he won't even try to let the smile release. He'll try to contain it. It'll explode out of his mouth. That's the feeling that you get when you win a race.
Social media expert Connery Maddock, what just happened?
Wow, that little bit of contact between Hutu and Backham, that pretty much sealed both of those drivers' fates right now. I fully expect Mac Backham to bring it to the checkered flag now, but wow, that is going to cause a little bit of controversy.
And here we are then, on to the white flag lap. One more lap to go. What has been a fantastic race again in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series here at beautiful Circuit de Villeneuve, Montreal, Canada. And it is currently Matt Backham who is leading by 2.1 seconds over Gregor Hutu. Kazuki Umeshima is currently running in third, and he's got a 2.6 second advantage as Martin Kroenke sets the fastest lap of the day, 1:14.594. He is not out of it without a fight here. He is back up, by the way, into P number 17. He might try and see if we can get past Yuta Saito as Jamie Fluke and Marcus Jensen. They go side by side on the run for the final lap, and I think there that Marcus Jensen is going to gain the position over Jamie Fluke. Indeed he is, as here's the replay coming up for that one now. On board with Fluke from the rear, and there's Marcus Jensen down to the outside. That's how you make a pass work on the final corner. And that's Jensen. Oh, actually, no, he tags Fluke there in the final corner with 2 to go. Ricardo Roscoe is around and out as well. But as we come down then, the back straightaway for the final time, it will be Mac Backham who adds himself to an illustrious list of drivers who has won an iRacing World Championship event. Mac Backham is a winner in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and Kiwana Simsport streak goes up to 17 races in a row. Mac Backham wins in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Gregor Hutu second, Kazuki Umeshima comes home in third, and in many ways undoes the damage from when he hit the wall a couple of years ago with just a few laps to go, proving at this track you can be a driver that can almost accomplish anything. Marty Piatella in fourth, Mitchell de Jong claws it back to P number 5. Antoine Hegelin then in P number 6. He's the highest rated Apex Racing UK car that at one point had a 1, 2, 3 in this event. And there will be many a head shaking, I think, at Apex Racing UK, because how did they all finish outside the top 5? Berryman in 7th, Kevin Ellis Jr. in 8th place. And then we've got ourselves Marcus Jensen and Jamie Fluke running at your top 10. It seems to be, though, that there's a couple of people who's thinking that there's a bit of contact between Matt Backham and Gregor Hutu as they came towards the end of this motor race. As I've got to pull up my own social media here, that Backham rammed Gregor at the start to pass, but Gregor was able to hold on for the entirety of the motor race. But the thing is, Backham did get that position. Backham, however, does win the event. His first win in the iRacing World Champion. That's the worst donuts I've ever seen there. Worst donuts I've seen in a long time there, Johnny.
Oh, man. Well, he's not used to winning, isn't he, in this series?
Trevor Bayne, 2011 at Daytona.
Oh, man. I mean, it had to come sometime soon for Mac Backham. How incredible. A race victory for him. Coanda, 3 different race wins for 3 different drivers to start this series. Have we ever had that before? I'm not sure.
No. Well, we have, maybe back in 2011. We can keep on talking about this in 2011. We did actually in a previous year as well. 3 drivers, first round to the championship. But what we do need to do at this point is to talk about the start of this motor race just a little bit here. Because at the start of this one, let's go on board. We can't actually, unfortunately. But Matt Backham, at the start of this motor race, of course, was involved with contact with Gregor Hutu, Jake. And then at the end of the motor race, there was contact again between Gregor Hutu and Matt Backham. I think the anger between VRS Commando Sim Sports and Team Redline, sponsored by Fnatic, has really picked up.
I don't think it's anger. I don't
frustration?
I don't think it's even frustration, Will. I think it's the fact that Gregor Hutu is driving arguably the best that he's ever done in his career right now, and that is a big statement for me to make, seeing as he's got 5 world championships. But it's the fact that he has got to deal with not just one quick Coanda driver, not just 2 quick Coanda drivers, not even just 3 quick Coanda drivers. He's got to fight a pack of 4 drivers, and right now I think that Redline's team has never looked so weak and fragile behind Gregor Hutu as it ever has done here today. Frank Shothorst was nowhere. Ollie Pakala was nowhere. They don't have Bono Haas in this series. They haven't got Alexius Yakala in this race for this one. They are struggling right now, our Redline. They've got Gregor Hutu, who is arguably the greatest driver who has ever lived in sim racing right now, maybe for Martin Kroenke. He's pushing at a level right now, on his own, mind you, that is second place worthy finishes every single time he goes out there and races. He's not able to get the big one, but what he is able to do is say this. He is the championship leader, Will, heading out of circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Why? Because he's been the most consistent, and he has fought tooth and nail for every single position, and you can't take that away from him.
Yeah, your 2 previous winners in this year's World Championship, Mitchell de Jong comes home P number 5 here today, and we have to say, what a comeback, Martin Kroenke coming home in P number 17 after his technical difficulties. And also, let's be honest here, that it would have been Kroenke arguably winning the race had it not been for those technical difficulties. And I don't want to take the moment away here from Matt Backham, because he has come through so much here, Johnny. And we've commentated on it. I mean, the one moment that comes to my head was down at turn number 1 at Suzuka versus Hugo Louise. And that's when many people really claimed that Matt Backham was too aggressive. Some people have done it before. Some people have done it after. Today, Matt Backham was aggressive, but he was defensively aggressive. Now, that was a 50-50 move, in my opinion, down at the final chicane. And also down at turn number 1, it's Canada. Stuff happens. But Matt Backham survived what was a very intensive last stint of this motor race.
Look, that everything was clean. There's really nothing wrong. There isn't going to be any penalties or anything like that after the race. Matt Backham earned this win fair and square. Really excited for him, just because, as you said, we remember him from 3 years ago where he came into this series, and he's adapted his driving style, and he's more experienced now. He's more rational, and that's something that has also complemented his improved pace too. He's won this race in less than an hour and a half, and most importantly, we've seen this with Lewis Hamilton when he entered Formula 1 in 2007. His driving style's changed 11 years later. Verstappen's probably going to change too. I'm talking about Max Verstappen in Formula 1. And we've seen it with Matt Backham here, excuse me. And so this is just a driving trait that's beautiful to see over the years. It's development in action, and it's the Coanda culture yet again turning a talented driver and extracting all that they can from that human being.
Here's your final race results then from the third round even of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Matt Backham holds on to win from Gregor Hutu by 1.5 seconds. There is controversy with 4 laps to go, but Backham wins. Hutu second. Kazuki Umeshima, a standout drive by him then for Radicals Online. He finished 18.5 seconds back, but got 3rd place for Radicals Online. Martin Piatella and Mitchell de Jong come home P4, P5, but that's only a part of the story for both of those drivers. Piatella's been in the wars. De Jong has really been in the wars. He's driven back from down as low as P number 17 here today. Antoine Hagelin, Peter Berryman, Kevin Ellis Jr., Apex Racing 6, 7, and 8. After they had a 1-2-3 at one point in this event, the strategy worked in some ways, but not in others. Marcus Jensen in 9th place for Burst Esports, and then Apex Racing UK, P number 10 for Apex Racing UK. There's the remainder of the results. They are up on your screen. We'll take a quick break here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Oh, this post-race show, it's going to be fun as we break down what just happened from Montreal, Canada, 3rd round in a row. What a race it's been in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, and we will be right back.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero. With fearless thoughts, emotions swirled, I wanna be the man that saves the world. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a
The third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series is in the books. And what a race it has been once again. It was almost Martin Cronke's race, but then technical issues befouled him. And Matt Backham takes over the role of Jean Alesi from 1995 and gets victory by 1.5 seconds over Gregor Hutu, but not without a little bit of controversy both at the start and at the end. Gregor Hutu, second place of Team Redline. Radicals Online, Kazuki Umeshima, fantastic performance by him in third. Martin Pitella in fourth. Mitchell de Jong rounds out your top 5 as we welcome you here then to the post-race show here on RaceWhat TV and on iRacing Live. And well, 3 races, Johnny, and they've all been amazing to watch.
Yeah, what a start to the season. So I know in 2014 or 2013, one of the years, we had 4 different race winners to start the season. You also said before, Will, 2011 was the same, 3 different race winners to start the year. And now 2017, it's 2018, excuse me, more entertaining. We've had, I'm pretty sure Road America coming up next. It's just going to even build up even further. But I'm looking forward to the big championship picture now. This is where round 4, we have to start to look at the big picture. Who's going to get the valuable points? And Gregor there, in the end, missing out on those extra 20 points could prove pivotal at the end. Same with Martin going back out on the racetrack and gaining an extra 6 or 8 points.
I'm going to test myself here, Johnny. It was Hugo Louise, then it was Gregor Hutu, Hugo Louise, then Dracula, and then also Ollie Pakula, who got himself those 4 wins back in 2014. Am I right?
Yeah. Who was the 5th?
Oh God! Don't challenge me on that.
I'm just
I think it was Hutu. It's Hutu. Month of May, Hutu.
It was Hutu. That's when he got the 7 race win streak after that.
Yes.
So that's
month of May and Gregor Hutu. And actually, we're going to talk about that one in a little bit. We've got Jake Sperry, Conor Maddock here as well. And Jake, talk about a championship picture. You talk about the fact that Hutu leads the championship out of this one. Hutu's had bad luck in some way in each of the first 3 rounds of the championship, but his perseverance, and I actually start to agree with you here. I think this is the hardest I've seen Gregor Hutu. I'm not going to say the best, but the hardest I've seen Gregor Hutu drive in all the years I've commentated on him.
I think that's certainly true, but I think that it's not luck that puts Gregor Hutu where he is, because you look at the efforts that he did at Interlagos, he was outclassed by Martin Cronke. You look at the efforts that he puts in at round 2 of the championship at Phillip Island, yes, there was contact, but that one very much a 50-50 move either way. I think it's been very much that Gregor Hutu has had to work harder than he's ever worked before to even get seconds and thirds. The field has just come on leaps and bounds from 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, to the point where Gregor Hutu being the best in the world is a massive, massive challenge to claim that, because you've got 10 drivers in that pack who will all go and claim exactly the same thing, and they have exactly the right to deserve that. It's been a fantastic race. I will not argue against that. It's been a sensational race. This race will go down in history as one of the all-time great iRacing World Championship races. Mark my words on that. But Gregor Hutu deserves the championship lead for the grit, the determination, and the bite that he puts into every single lap of every single race. And arguably Gregor Hutu, the most deserving championship leader of them all right now.
As there's background noise, there's something going on in the halls of residence. There's Johnny. Oops. One thing that's worth noting. Do you mind? I'm broadcasting, Jake. Oh, he's gone away. Johnny, one thing I wanted to talk about there was the fact that there was not as much overtaking here at Canada compared to Phillip Island. But the strategy, this is, I think, the thing I love most about 2018. Gone are just one-stop sort of win. If Max DeLorco was running this championship, he could be the world championship leader right now, in my opinion.
We'll see. He's still going to make the tires last. Because if back then everyone was doing 1 or 2 stops and he was 4 stopping, he'd probably be doing 8 stops with these tires. It's so difficult to make Pirelli tires work. And just big credit to these guys to be able to set up the car elegantly just to manage the tires over a race stint, especially the Apex Racing UK team. And we look at the bright side of that. I know we looked at the negative and said, yeah, they didn't get the top 5 that they could have had. 4 of them in the top 10. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah. Before we talk to Matt Backham, let's talk about Apex Racing UK very quickly, actually, Johnny, because they had a 1-2-3 at some point in this event. But that one-stop strategy, it worked to an extent. But actually, I would say as much as them losing time because of their pace, they lost time, Apex, because of single driver mistakes.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes. Ellis Jr.'s, I mean, it didn't really help that he had all those technical issues too. So the one stop worked. I'm always a fan though of making more stops just because you're more comfortable on the tires, and they just must be really confident and it's just almost bullish with their setup, because there's no way you can drive a car with tires that have degraded to that length and be confident come race end to battle. You know, I would never do that. I would always go for the strategy with more stops. But hey, they made it work, and credit to them. And if Marcus Jensen didn't leave the team, that would be 5 Apex cars from 6th to 10th.
Wow. Social media expert Connie Maddock, what happened in those last 10 laps on Twitter?
Well, just quite a lot of enthusiasm about Mac's win. We also saw that little bit of contact as well, which people have been a little bit split on. Some people saying that he can't, Gregor Hutu didn't need to make that move that early. He needed to try and set it up for the final couple of laps. So probably a little bit of greed on Hutu's side, and Hutu is actually in here, so I had to be a little bit careful with my words, but that's what people have been saying. Bit too early for Hutu to be making that move.
Well, we are going to talk to a couple of drivers now. We're going to start with Mac Backham even. Mac, congratulations on your first ever World Championship Grand Prix Series victory, and welcome to World Championship Series Victory Lane.
Yeah, thank you very much. It wasn't that easy today.
It's been a tough race for you, let's be honest. I mean, you had a good qualifying, but the start of this race, let's talk about that one first, because controversy a little bit there. You and Gregor contact.
Yeah, well, first to start with quali, actually, I don't think my quali was that great. I'm very happy I was P4, don't get me wrong, but the lap was really bad. I think everyone just had a bad lap, so that was fortunate for me. And then on the start I was on the outside or on the inside for turn 2 then, and I had a little bit of overlap, and then Gregor just turned into me a little bit, and he got pushed wide, and at that point I was just really worried that my front wing was damaged, because the car felt really understeery, but that's just something that plays in my mind, you know, when something like that happens. So my spotters told me the wing was good, so I just started to push a bit and try and catch Kazuki, and eventually made my way past. It really wasn't easy because everyone had really good top speed, and everyone was so quick in the hairpin compared to me, I felt like, so it was really difficult to make the moves.
Well, then let's talk about the race itself, because for part of the race you kind of ran a bit in no man's land, and then later on you started getting involved in battles with Gregor Hutu, there of course with Kazuki Mishima, with Martin Kroenke at one point as well. That battle you had with Martin Kroenke, Were you just trying to make sure it was kind of 1-2 at that point, or was it just a case of you really trying to hound down Martin? Was the team orders? Was it you actually wanting to get your first victory? Was it recognizing the fact that Coanda's the bigger team at the end of the day?
No, there were no team orders. I just caught up to him. It's like we were really equal on pace. It was very similar, and as soon as I caught up to him, I made a small mistake, and he ran out of DRS again. And then the next 2 laps or something that happened kind of vice versa, so I caught back up again. So it was really difficult to make the move because we were pretty much running the same lap times. It just, every few laps someone made a mistake and then the other guy gained a bit. So there really wasn't a chance for me to overtake. I think Martin in the end was a bit more consistent than I am. I think that showed in the final stint. He was a little bit ahead. But yeah, and then I just obviously tried to defend as hard as I could on Gregor, especially when Martin had his sim crash, unfortunately. At that point, I was just trying to hold up Hutu as long as I could, and it would obviously be great if that was until the end of the race. But I would just wanted to make sure that Gregor would not be able to pass Martin if he got by me. And then obviously when Martin dropped, like the whole Coanda hope was on my shoulder, so that was kind of nerve-wracking. But in the end, I'm just really happy I didn't fold under the pressure.
I want to talk about pit stops for a moment because you are the fastest driver on both the first and the second pit stops inside your top 10. 31.5 lane to lane time, pretty much on both one. And you gained actually half a second over Martin Kroenke. We could see that one visually. How hard did you practice on pit stops before this race?
Yeah, very hard. Yeah, I always practice everything like a lot. Like every single part of the race, I practice. I wouldn't say hours for pit entry, but like everything I practice really thorough. I think that definitely helped me here because out of the first pit stop, I was side by side with Gregor. So if I was just a little bit slower, I would not have enough today.
And then let's talk about those final couple of laps, and let's talk about that move. Hutu on your outside into the wall of the champion chicane. What happened?
Well, I didn't really notice when I was driving. When I exited the chicane, I saw that he went wide. And then I looked at the replay. I think he turned in a little bit too much, and it was like a small net code which made his car run wide. Well, that just made the gap pretty big, and that just kind of took away all the pressure on my shoulders at that moment.
17 race wins in a row now for Coanda Simsport, and you are officially a part of it. How does that make you feel? Also winning your first World Championship event.
Yeah, it feels really amazing. I don't know. I would have liked to win. Like I wouldn't say fairly, but like with Martin on the track as well, because he definitely had my number today. If the sim didn't crash, obviously he would have won the race. So in that regard, it's somewhat of a let's say a half hollow win. But on the other end, I still think I drove very well, and just so satisfying driving against the two best sim racers of all time, I think, in Martin and Gregor, all race long. It was just really cool.
Well, you come home then with a race victory for the number 16 VRS Coanda Simsports machine, and for the first time in your iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series career. Who do you want to give a shout out to as the winner of the third round of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series?
Well, yeah, first of all, I want to thank our partners, so Virtual Racing School, Huizenveld Engineering, SimQuip, Antwerp Design, GRT, Fitech, and you guys for the broadcast, and just the entire team that's been helping me over the last 1.5 years I've been in Coanda. I feel like I've improved so much, and I have so much to thank to them, of course. Well,
thank you very much, Mac Backham, and well, regardless of whether Kroenke was on track or not today, we've got to say, Jake, what a race Backham drove.
He drove a fantastic race. I can't argue against that. He drove brilliantly on the defensive drive, and normally we know Backham for someone who wants to be aggressive and making moves. This time he showed a different side of himself. He showed that, similar to 2 seasons ago in the Road to Pro Series, Mac Backham likes this circuit. Mac Backham can attack this circuit. Mac Backham can win at this circuit. And this, I probably will say, is going to probably be the first of quite a few race victories we'll see for Mac Backham. But it's up to Mac to make sure that the second one comes along in a little bit less time than what it took for the first.
Johnny, is Mac a World Championship contender now?
Oh, 100%. I mean, for Mac to win a race itself makes him a championship contender. Now, yeah, okay, Kroenke had the technical issue and that projected Mac up to P1, but just his pace today. If Kroenke had issues, if Kroenke didn't have issues and he ended up winning the race, Mack would have only finished a couple of seconds off that race win. So he is definitely looking strong. And more importantly, I am very impressed by the improvement of Tommy Osgaard too, who in qualifying qualified very well, unfortunately involved in the early incidents. And of course, I just have to give a quick shout out to Balazars Remignac, who finished P11. Terrific result for the Vortex Sim Racing driver.
Yeah, indeed. Let's carry on then with interviews, and we've got Jake Sperry stood by with Gregor Hutu, who came home today in second position.
Well, Gregor, it seemed that you were beaten from pillar to post, and in the end it was one of those incidents that, you know, you can argue it's a bit of 50-50. So what's your take then on what happened in the final 5 laps between yourself and Mack?
Well, I don't think the turn 1 incident was really 50-50. I was hit on the rear tires, so that was like I think the 3rd or 4th time it has happened in the last few races. So yeah, then I was stuck behind Mack for the whole race, and yeah, tried to get in front of him, but didn't quite work out in the end.
Well, it didn't quite work out in the end, but there are certainly positives you can take away from this event. You are the championship leader now, heading into round 4 of the season, and to get yourself almost a quarter of the way through this season, to have the championship lead, and to put yourself in a situation where you're seeing your main rivals run into issues all around you, that's still got to be something to be happy about, surely.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too early to think about the championship. Just have to try and be competitive in each race at each track, which we weren't last year. So, I mean, Montreal has been one of my worst tracks, so it was a pretty good race considering that, and the pace was good. But yeah, lost it in turn 1, I guess.
Were you surprised by the absence of your teammates' pace here today from Team Redline?
No, because they didn't have much time to practice, so I guess that was kind of affecting our team result, or at least for them, definitely. So, but yeah, hopefully we can come back stronger for the next race.
And where does the team go from here? Because you have arguably the greatest dynasty that has ever existed in sim racing with Team Redline. You have yourself, a 5-time world champion, pushing forward, championship lead heading to round 4 of the season. What's the goal then going to be for the next 2 to 3 rounds to really cement yourself up towards the halfway stage of the season at round 7?
I think just keep working on it, try to put in some work every day. And if we can do that, then we should be strong. And yeah, put NASCAR bumper on the car for the next race and see what happens.
Gregor Hutu, absolute card. Well, before we let you go, my man, any shout outs or sponsors you'd like to give?
Yeah, as usual, Fanatec, SimLab, and Feel. And thanks to my teammates for the work as well, although they didn't have time for this race, but we'll keep pushing for the next ones.
Well, the push is certainly still there. Championship leader Gregor Hutu there, Will. An absolute treat to always have an opportunity to interview.
And some sass there as well. I like that there by Gregor Hutu. Put the chrome horn on the car. One thing I would say is that Gregor Hutu says until about the final round of the championship, Johnny, that he's not ready to think about the championship itself. Let's be honest. You've always got to think about the championship. And Gregor Hutu today, he made some half moves. He didn't commit to some of the biggest moves he had to, because at the end of the day, you got to finish races. And let's not forget KK Rosberg, for example. He won a world championship without winning many races. We've had many people win world championship without winning many races in the past.
Very stressful when you think of the big picture too, and you know, it's something that I never had to do, unfortunately, but it's something that of course, once you start thinking about the points, the pressure piles on you as well. You just want to make sure that at the end of the day, you don't care about media, you don't care about the fans or anything. You just want the team behind your back throughout the championship, and that's all that Gregor needs at the moment.
So, third place in this event is Kazuki Yamashima. We've got Rob Cuss here from Radicals Online, and he stood by with you there, Johnny.
Yeah, Rob, he's here. He's representing Kazuki Yamashima. I have to ask first, Rob, Kazuki's nailed qualifying yet again. And not just at this racetrack. He's done it before. We remember at Suzuka, he's pretty quick a year or two ago. Do the characteristics of this Montreal track just suit Kazuki more, or was it just a little bit of extra motivation and practice for this round?
A bit of everything. He loves this track. The team have been working so hard because we haven't had the best start to the season, and he's kind of spearheading that with making sets, and just our Discord F1 channel is just a really good place to be, and I think it's starting to show. I know certain other commentators say, "Oh yeah, we're not too great." I think I tweeted straight out, "Hard work will pay off," and it has, and that's like the whole team working as one unit. But Kazuki's immense. I missed it. I've had some. I missed the qualifying lap. I had some stuff I needed to take care of. But I watched it back while I was watching the broadcast, and it was mega. So he's incredible. He's outrageous. He can drive anything as well. It's not just the F1 car. He's a very talented young guy. Trying to get him to speak. Come on and speak. He's a little bit nervous, so my apologies to all the guys that want to hear his voice. He's just a little bit nervous. We will try and get him on a broadcast for you at some point.
No, definitely. Were you hoping for a miracle, though, at the end? Because Kronke's technical issues and then Backham and Hutu could have collided. Umashima could have had that race victory, could have garnered at least 4 years ago. Could have happened today if things went his way.
It definitely could have. I must say, like, obviously Matt used to drive for us. I got a soft spot for him. He did a mega job today. And Martin, unfortunate issues. Everyone knows he's the best right now. Yeah. And Gregor.
You mind? He's broadcasting.
Yeah. Check that out. But the guy, like, that race was awesome. As a spectator, it was brilliant to watch. As a team manager, it sucked because you're like, oh, please don't not get involved in traffic. So shout out to the Apex guys as well, because I got a lot of respect for Alex and what he does. Yeah, they had a cracking race, and yeah, the strategy didn't play out and had a few incidents, but they're a strong team. It was just, this is what F1 should be. It was the best race I've seen in a long time, and it was fun to watch.
I have to say, quick words now. Michael Partington, surely you're impressed with his efforts. New to the team, and he's worked hard too.
I was waiting for that. Yeah, he's been pretty instrumental in coming into the team. He's really focused on sets. He really works well with the guys. So he's reinvigorated a lot of the guys. The amount of effort that he puts in. I mean, I know Redline said they don't practice a lot. Well, you can see what happens versus a team that does practice a lot. And fair play to Gregor for practicing, obviously. Shame to see other teams not appear but watch it in chat. So don't bother turning up, guys. It's great. But Mike, Mike's been awesome. He's been super good, and hard work pays off, and it will pay off towards the season. So
he's quite an old dude too, Mike. He's turning 30 this year, I think.
I'm turning 13 in just about a couple of days, right? Leave me alone.
Yeah. We'll keep the jockeying. I'm 40 tomorrow, so in your face.
Congratulations. Happy 40th.
Thank you.
Erection dysfunction and everything else that goes with it.
And it's a and this broadcast is going to straight faces. Right, concentrate for a second, boys. It's a professional broadcast. Don't.
No, it is.
Mike's been awesome. There we go. We're back on the level. I know Will likes to have a play.
No, I'm saying because he is a rookie in this series, and everyone contributes and thinks of rookies as guys who are 18 to 20 to 22, and he's like, oh, he's quite experienced, and he knows his way around a lot of sims. He's actually been in racing for quite a few years. He made the switch from sim to sim and now to iRacing. And he's actually quite impressed. He's been quick in all three. I have to say, though, last thing, I want to talk about Utah, Mogar, and Elbrink. They finished behind two. Not the best of days for all of them, but I have to say, Utah, after starting last, a pretty good result in the end.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's a machine when he gets... everyone has tough races, Paul can't speak. He's really sick. He hasn't had time to put any time in, and he's equalled his best result of the season by being really ill. Utah drove amazing. He'll be there or thereabouts. He'll make some top 10s easy this year. I'm sure of it. He's got the talent. And Mogar's finding form. He showed a little bit in qualifying. He'll be there. He puts in a lot of work. It just not clicked yet. When it clicks, you'll know he's amazing. So he's it's looking good. It'd be good for us.
No, there you go. Rob Cuss there, Will Vincent. He represented Kazuki Mishima, you could say, who was a little bit too, what can we say, camera shy, broadcast shy is probably a better word.
Hey, Rob, if you go onto the boot.co.uk webpage and just click to the second tab, there's something for your 40th birthday.
Oh dear.
Yes. In the meanwhile, we've got ourselves Marty Piatella here. He came home in P number 4 here today, and he stood by with social media expert Connie Maddock.
Hello, and well, I believe it's going to be Marty I'm talking to right now. I believe that is. Sorry, my attention was focused away there for a second.
Well, you're on the boots.co.uk website.
What?
Marty, you don't need to go there. I know you.
I'm not exactly what is going on anymore, so I'll just continue on with Marty here. And well, Marty, that was a very, very good result for you. You, I believe, you're the driver that made up those quite a few positions on the start there. So just take us through the start of this event, and with the rule changes that have come in with the new double clutch system that you guys are using. How difficult is it, or otherwise, to get a good start here in the series now?
Yeah, all you need is luck. I don't know. Yeah. I just reacted on the lights, and I don't know if I got a good start or did the others get a bad start, but it was pretty nice going 4 wide into turn 1. In turn 2, I think there was the incident with Mac and Gregor, so yeah, I had to slow down. I think it costed Tommy the race, basically, because he had to basically stop behind me, and yeah, it wasn't optimal for the team. But yeah, the first few corners were good for me on the main straight, and yeah, after that it was mainly about trying to survive the impact.
It was, and we didn't see as many issues with the tire wear this week than we did at races like Interlagos or Phillip Island, and that was mostly due to the cooler track temperature. So how did that affect your race up there?
I don't know. I mean, after the first pit stop, the tires seemed really good. Towards the end of the the second stint, and I was quite concerned at that point of what's going to happen with the Apex guys going with one stopper. But yeah, looking at the times in the end, I mean, I guess yeah, but the result would have been the same, even though I think Kevin was having some really big issues with his connection or something. He was all over the place, and yeah.
I'm sure you'll agree that you had a little bit of a shaky start to the season, shall we say, in rounds number 1 and 2. But finally, round number 3, you get yourself a P4, which is a fantastic points haul. And well, the main reason for your lackluster first 2 races was little bits of contact with other drivers, but you seem to keep it relatively clean out there today. So that kind of has to be a theme for you in the next couple of races now, to get those consistent results and to try and drag yourself back up those leaderboards. So you're looking for more P4s in the future?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, this race can be called far from clean because, yeah, in the first lap I had the incident with Joshua, and then later on with Berryman. Yeah, those were like, I don't know, especially with Berryman, what he was thinking there, just closing the door and shutting it close, and I got some damage from it. So yeah, I mean, it's been quite a shaky start for the season. Yeah, 3 races, and I think maybe 4 or 5 potentially race-ending incidents in those. So yeah, I hope I'll get to drive a bit more. Well, I can't say that I get to drive more cleaner, but maybe people around me.
Yeah, I think cleaner is the word rather than clean there for this event, Marty. But is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Of course, first of all, congratulations to Mac. Pretty awesome. And yeah, I told him before the race that he's going to win this one. He had epic pace in the practice. Yeah, so I mean, it's racing. Technical issues happen. It's really sad that for Martin, but then again, it's a long season, so yeah, he'll get his chances again. And of course, want to thank the guys on the pit wall, Klaus and Philip. Pretty epic job on the strategy again, even though us drivers, I understood we're doing everything in our powers to ruin the strategy the guys were planning to us. So
yeah, lots of strategy shenanigans going on out there in circuit. But Will, as Marty Piatella, P number 4 when all is said and done. Very good result.
Yeah, it was there for Martin Piatella. And actually, he outclasses Mitchell de Jong, who comes home P number 5 here today. Mitchell, P5, all considered after your first lap, this is a great result for you.
Yeah, I have to agree. Was just kind of a messy day all around. My qualifying lap, I had a lockup in at the 3rd chicane and lost 3/10 already. And then suddenly another 10th in the last chicane, so it was already quite a horrid start from the beginning. And then Will spin off the line, caused some drama, and then the inside row checking up. Yeah, took out my front wing and the rear wing, so it was just like trying to manage that the whole time. I think if you told me I was gonna, I guess, finish in the top 5 at the end, I wouldn't have believed you after the first lap. But yeah, it was decent. After the first pit stop, once they changed the front wing, had some really odd aero balance on the car, so it was just trying not to spin out in all the corners, missing quite a bit of downforce in the rear. So I guess all in all, it was a pretty solid day still.
You're looking forward, of course, to Road America in a few weeks' time, and of course, it's a very different track to what we've had again. Round number 1, round number 2, round number 3. But is this your chance to get yourself back to the top of the winners' rostrum?
I sure hope so. Yeah, this was the first track, actually second track, that I came back to last year after a long break, and it went pretty decently without much experience in it. So we'll have to see. It certainly could be better than this one. At least I hope so. So yeah, I think we have quite a strong car there usually, and just put in some good practice and see where we end up in the end.
Normally I'll talk sponsors, but you've had 2 drivers do that already. I want to talk about something else. GRC Global Rallycross World Championship Series here on iRacing. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, it's coming up quite soon. Yeah, shortly after the Pro Series ends already. So we have about 2 rounds left of the Pro Series. And then after that, pretty much, I think 2 weeks after, it starts up again. So we'll have to see. Should be good fun. It's quite tough balancing all these series with F1, GT3, and that as well for all the World Championship stuff. So
which one do you want to win more?
All of them.
Come on, give me one of them.
I think for me the F1 is probably the most, satisfying, where it's like really, really difficult. That's, I would say, probably the peak in terms of just pure driving wise. So I think that's kind of the cool one that everyone would like to win. It's a super difficult car to drive. So it's very satisfying when it all works out. Yeah, I would say if I had to pick one, which are all pretty even, I would say F1.
Before I give my thank yous, who are your thank yous?
Yeah, of course, I'd like to thank all the teammates for putting in some good testing for this one again. Awesome job to Mac for keeping the Coenda streak alive. Really unfortunate for Martin to have that issue, but he'll bounce back like he always does. Awesome for Marty as well, and really unfortunate for Tommy. Of course, all our partners, Virtual Racing School, Hoisingfeld, Andware Design, SimQuip, Dual Real Timing, of course you guys, Race Spot and VTech, and also all the spotters for trying to keep us on the right strategy with all this craziness going on and different strategies on track. So epic job to them for keeping us calm.
Well, thank you very much there to Mitchell de Jong. Final thoughts then, before we head ourselves off to the 4th round of the Championship Series. Jake, I'm going to come to you first because there's been a couple of comments made about Matt Backham on social media. He's an aggressive driver, we know, but we always know that Matt Backham is an aggressive driver. Did he put a foot wrong here today?
No, I don't think he did. Personally, any incident on lap 1 has an element of chance. You never go into lap 1 deliberately trying to make contact with someone, and that much I can definitely say. And with every move that he made, he held his line, and he was more than entitled to hold his line into that corner because he had the racing line, he had the car ahead at that point. I don't see anything wrong with what he has done at all. Now, heading to Road America, there's going to be a very telling shift, I think, because you look at this circuit that has a little bit of everything. Okay, maybe it doesn't have the slow hairpin corner, the slow speed corners, but this is a circuit that has a lot of mid to high speed corners, which I think will suit Redline's package very, very nicely. I think that Road America is going to be the true battleground that we're going to see at the start of this season. I think that it's been fantastic to see Matt Backham win. I think it's fantastic to see Mitchell win and for Martin Cronkite to win. But this is not the Coanda SimSports show, not by any stretch of the imagination. When you've got Gregor Hutu snapping at the heels, okay, 10-point lead in the championship over Mitchell de Jong, doing everything in his power to just desperately find a win. This is the greatest season I've ever seen. And I wasn't around in 2011, so I will say it right now. This is the greatest season I've ever seen of the iRacing World Championship.
Yeah, and Johnny, we always talk about Gregor Hutu being the greatest driver in the month of May. We're going to Road America in a few weeks' time. It'll be the first day I'm back from the sunny lands of Dubai and Hong Kong, but it'll be a very interesting race in the fact that, in fact, I'm going to talk to you about this one here, Connery, because Gregor Hutu will have the opportunity to really cement his ability at a track that I agree is suited more to Team Redline.
Road America has been good. Hutu's won there 4 times in the past. He's also looking for that 5th race victory. I think, though, in this next 2 weeks, he's just lacking that 10th, isn't he? That 10th of a second in qualifying. He needs the grid positions that will help him at least, like, pole is let's just say it now. Let's not sugarcoat things. He needs to get pole at Road America. He needs to have the lead into turn 1. He needs to sustain and determine the pace for the rest of the field. Because right now, when he keeps finishing 1 to 4 seconds off race wins, it's not good enough. So he's certainly going to go hard at work and try and find a way to qualify on top.
You say we've said that though for the last 2 years almost, Johnny. Do you think that's the thing now that Redline need to focus on qualifying and put the race pace to one side for a little bit?
No, because the race pace is more important. Because you're doing, I mean, qualifying is what 2 laps. And so if you want to put a week of practice in for 2 laps or do a whole lot of practice in for, let's say, a 70-lap race like it was today, you have to determine which one's more important. Everybody knows Sunday's the more important day, or if it's the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series, Saturday. But there you go. Look, we'll see how they go. I think as a driver, though, when I started focusing too much on qualifying, it comes out in the wash, and your season just, it goes to pieces. You get worse and worse exponentially just because you're too busy practicing and too busy hot lapping for those qualifying sessions.
Jake?
I don't think Redline had the setup to make overtakes. I said it at the end of the last round, and I'll say it again this one. Redline don't have the ability to make overtakes. They don't allow Gregor Hutu to have a setup that gives him the opportunity to go out there and make decisive overtakes on people. It's very different to what Coanda do. It's very different to what Apex do, and more traditionally what Inex would have done.
Yep.
I think that when you look at Redline's outfit, I don't see a Redline that can go out there and overtake. I can see a Redline that can pull away from the front and do clean laps better than anybody else's business. We saw that from Gregor Hutu, the way that he could claw in Mac Backham. But he can never ever get himself past. He can never ever make a move in that race. And I think that's very fitting and very telling for the philosophy of Redline. And I think they have to change it, knowing that they are not the quickest vehicle on that grid. And I can't believe it's taken them 2 years not to work this out.
Do you agree with me more than Jake?
I do, because I think that Redline are fantastic as a team. I think they are the biggest dynasty that sim racing has ever seen. I think their philosophy is antiquated and outdated for where they are. This isn't 2013 anymore, where Gregor Hutu's winning every race under the sun. Far from it. You need to be able to go out there and prove you can make overtakes. How do you do that when you know that the vehicles around you are better in the top speed and have a very similar sort of balance when it comes to the corners? You've got to go and match them on top speed. Let's put McLaren, for example, in the Formula 1 right now. They're probably the lowest on the speed traps. How are they expecting to make overtakes when they don't have the top speed to make those overtakes? Redline need to work out something exactly the same.
Conor Maddock, it's been a great day in terms of social media, and there's many people wondering what is going to happen in terms of Road America in a few weeks' time as we almost enter the month of May.
Well, yeah, it's going to be round number 4. We're looking for our 4th winner in 4 races, which I really, really hope happens. But, as you get more of that streak going on, the likeliness of it happening gets less and less. But in terms of who can take who can be that 4th different driver in 4 different races to take a race win, I think Hutu has a very, very good chance if he qualifies it at least on the front row. You've also got the likes of even drivers that didn't finish this event. You've got the likes of Joshua Rogers there that could be incredibly quick on his day. And you've also got the likes of the drivers of Freak Showthorse, for example, if he qualifies near the front. So I think Road America, as you've already said, is going to be basically one of the most level playing fields in terms of the battleground circuits on this calendar.
Yes, but in the meanwhile, that is all we've got time for here today. We want to give a quick shout out to a couple of people. And of course, they are our friends. It's on BattleTrackCam22.com, Andreas Warner and One Design for our overlay design. Development by Simon Grossman, Aptioneering.com for all the graphics you see on our broadcast, live time and scoring by Nick Thisson. Well, we now have a new driver on top of the rostrum. That is Matt Backham, and he joined the likes of Richard Towler, Justin Niemann, Hugo Louise, and also, of course, Mitchell de Jong as drivers who's won a round, and Martin Kroenke, who's won a round in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. It's a battle between Coanda and Redline. We hope to see other teams take it to them when they come to Road America, but what we saw today is that people try and people fail once again. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at Road America, the track that measures exactly 4 miles in length, but is often regarded as the toughest challenge in all of North American road racing. From myself, Will Vincent, thank you to Jonathan Simone, to Jake Sperry, to Conor Maddock. We are RaceSpot TV. Thank you, iRacing Live. Thank you, Twitch TV. Thank you, YouTube Gaming, and thank you, Facebook Live. We'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.